It's Tuesday. Welcome to the Wise Guys. Kind of grooving. It's 1,000 degrees outside, and so we picked some music that I guess puts you kind of like on a yacht or an ocean cruise.
I don't know
just
what
kind of
it is.
Sailing along.
I felt very relaxed.
I'm not sure where that came from. Dave
DJ,
McCann.
thanks for making us feel relaxed.
And Blaine Fowler, as we launch into another Wise Guys. We got a loaded show tonight. The season's underway.
Man.
The Cougs are 1-0. They put 50 points on the board at South Florida, and now getting ready for the 9th-ranked Baylor Bears.
Yeah, and they jumped a little bit in the rankings, but I think depending on what they do this week, they win this week, they jump big time. They jump a bunch of spots, and they're in the top 15, and that's probably where they should have been at the beginning of the season, but we'll get into that. What a great win on the road. The best comment all week was South Florida's coach saying, we knew they were good, but they were better than we thought they were.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
And
right?
if Baylor's coach says that after the game Saturday, BYU will have had a good weekend.
Yeah, that'll be a great
for the
week.
second straight weekend.
Yep.
All right, let's run down the tees. We're going to get right to business tonight because we got so much. We want all of your questions, whether it's Twitch, ysguys.com, obviously, YouTube. We're spanning the globe here at 1-0. The AP Top 25 poll came out this afternoon, a Tuesday, because if you remember, Clemson was playing last night.
That's right.
So they couldn't come out until all of the weekend games, per se, were over. We'll talk about that, and, of course, we'll recap the ball game at Tampa.
Yep, a former running back, Will Snowden, and linebacker Bryan Kehl break down the game and set up the home opener against number 10 Baylor with us on this show. Bryan will join us first, and then we'll have Will, and it's going to be fun. We'll have both of them in the first hour with us, so hang with us. It's going to be fun.
Dave Almodova, BYU Assistant Athletic Director over Marketing. He's going to pop in for a few minutes right at 7 o'clock and lay out the weekend. It's going to be an awesome time outside of Lavelle Edwards Stadium on Saturday leading up to kickoff, including a flyover and all that stuff. So Dave will roll that out for us.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And we're going to be outside the stadium, so hopefully if you're there at the stadium, you come and hang out with us while we do game day. What's our show called now?
It's BYU Sports Nation Game Day. Mostly game day, but we say the
be there for,
first thing.
Be there for game day. Hey, how about the college football playoff expansion So some good news coming this past week. College football playoff is going to expand. We'll talk about what that means for BYU.
Carrie Roberts, women's head golf coach, going to join us a little bit later tonight. They get ready to tee up a new season. High expectations. She's got a great program going, and it's our golf season's winding down because now we're working all the time.
Busy.
But their golf season is just winding up.
I think we should play every Friday afternoon, but that's just me.
I think you're right.
Until the weather
It's
gets
an outstanding idea.
So,
and our football picks. We'll kind of recap what happened last weekend, and then the big games ahead. Now that we're all the way in to this college football season.
Yep. Should we count down to a few things, Dave?
Let's do it.
4 days until the home opener against number 9 now, Baylor.
They moved up one spot in the poll.
We were going to say number 10, but they moved up to 9 today.
25 days until October, and that will bring us the first Big 12 schedule for BYU. That's going to be a lot of fun. And the new commissioner of the Big 12 is going to be on game day with us.
Yeah, he's going to be sitting right there
on Saturday night. So we'll get the lowdown on, hey, maybe he'll give us a sneak preview of who BYU is going to play.
Is BYU going to have Texas or Oklahoma at home next year? And maybe he'll tell us.
What do we got to do to sweeten the pot on that?
Yep.
All right, let's start with a couple of headlines before Bryan Kehl joins us.
Hey, in the AP Top 25, that came out today. BYU moved up 4 spots. I still think they're underrated. They go to number 21. Baylor moved up 1 spot to number 9. Utah fell 6 spots to number 13. And Oregon dropped out of the poll altogether. They laid the biggest egg I've ever seen laid against Georgia, where they just got run right out of the building. So they dropped right out.
It's like they had an egg farm last season because they laid eggs all over the place. And yet everyone kept saying, no, they're the golden goose.
So the problem is for the Pac-12 now that you go, those are your 2 big marquee games. Now, I know that USC played Rice and played really well, but immediately expectations for the Pac-12 are down again now. And that hurts. That hurts. So Utah could go and run the table, and if Florida isn't amazing this year, say Florida finishes 3rd in the East in the SEC, they're going to go, well, they went, it's fine. They can win in the Pac-12, but they played Florida and lost.
Yeah.
And so that hurts. And then Oregon just embarrassed the Pac-12 at Georgia. So
BYU wins at 50-21, and our first guest is all about defense. He'll forever be remembered for catching the Hail Mary pass at the end of last spring's alumni game to lead Navy to a stunning victory over Royal. It's a pleasure to welcome 5-year NFL linebacker Bryan Kehl to the Wise Guys. Bryan, we know that you've got a Pee Wee football practice coming up here in just a few minutes, so we're grateful to have you on for a couple of moments and talk about this game. Before we get to that, though, David Nixon's one of your assistant coaches. I don't know who's the boss. I'm going to assume you are on that.
Are you the head guy, Bryan?
I am the defensive coordinator. The head coach is Wes Patterson. Dave he's just like the lowest guy on the staff. He's just the guy that goes and gets us water.
So
nice.
What's the hardest thing to teach a young football player when it comes to tackling?
Everything. Oh, man. I basically played in the NFL and then got done and then didn't do anything officially with football and then went to the 8-year-olds. And so I went from one end of the spectrum to the other, and it has been tough for me because there's things that I haven't had to think about in 30 years that I'm now having to think about with these kids. And if you know how to teach kids, 8-year-olds to tackle, let me know because we're still working on figuring that out.
I'll tell you this, Bryan, because I coached all of my guys all the way up through. Kellen, who was your roommate and teammate down at BYU. And you just keep working with them, and then all of a sudden one day the light bulb comes on. And it's different for every kid. So one day you'll go, I don't know what we're going to do with this kid. He just doesn't want to hit anybody. And then the next day at practice you'll go, what just happened? This kid's a terror because they'll have one play or one hit where they'll go, well, you know what? That hurt a lot less when I hit him. And then the light bulb goes on and they're forever changed. They're forever changed.
Gives me hope. That gives me hope. I hope that happens soon, especially for my kid.
By the way, that never works when it comes to taking your plate to the sink. For some reason.
No, they never learn that. The light bulb
that
never comes on or taking out the garbage. But hitting, the light bulb will come on. Your guy will get it.
Hey, what do you think coming out of that South Florida game? What impressed you?
Everything. It was just fantastic. What a start to the season. From the first play, I mean, it just you really can't ask for a better start for a season. It was just every Cougar fan's dream. And I don't know what kind of squad South Florida has or what they'll have this year. We'll see. That time will tell on that. But, I mean, we do know that our squad is legit. We looked good. We executed. We started fast. We took care of business. We got guys healthy, which is good, especially on defense. And we looked fast and athletic. And, you know, the new running back looks great. He looks fast and athletic. And quarterback made good decisions, all except for one play. And it was great, man. It was just fun to watch.
We were just talking before he came out. South Florida's coach on his press conference said, hey, we knew that they were good, but we actually were surprised. They're better than we thought they were for a first game especially. What does that say?
Yeah, when you get compliments like that, that's really where it means something, because that's somebody who actually knows. They just played us. And, you know, BYU, and hats off to the staff, to the administration, to the people, the decision makers, and Kalani and co. They have been trending upwards for a couple years now. And, you know, it's the flywheel effect. They're just gaining momentum each year. And to me, what I start to see is you start to see talent on the field at positions that we haven't had it really ever. And you start to see more depth, and depth is just the biggest thing, especially as we transition into the Big 12 for us to compete. You know, that's what we're going to need is we're going to need talent and depth and all those good things.
During fall camp, we heard a lot about, hey, buddy, who's this?
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's wearing a Will.
Ready
Wait,
for-
what about a Kehl jersey? Come on.
This is the 8-year-old. Who's still got to learn how to hit.
What position is he playing, Brian?
He plays safety and receiver.
Nice.
How's he doing?
Good ones.
Is he doing all right?
He's doing great. Yeah, he's figuring it out. He's super athletic. He tackles the bag like a maniac. And then I'm still trying to get him to figure out to do the same thing when it's a kid instead of a bag.
Well, he got Jess's niceness, so he just doesn't want to hurt anybody, you know. So,
he's a nice kid. So
he needs to have your speed and your physicalness, right? But he needs Jess's like cat-like, like she's unbelievably coordinated and all of that, right?
Yes, she's super athletic, so that helps. It's good genes.
Yeah.
So Nixon's kid, Nate Nixon, was born 1 week before Cruz.
Okay.
So they're and Nixon lives a mile away. So those two, they play football, baseball, basketball together. It's
awesome.
going to be fun going forward.
That's awesome.
Good deal.
Hey, you were talking about the Big 12. And
Yep.
the Big 12 comes.
Yeah.
The Big 12 comes to town this week. So Baylor's in town. The commissioner of the Big 12 is coming to town. Going to sit down with us on our set to start the game. What's your thought about this home opener against Baylor? You have a good feeling?
This is the litmus test. And I'll tell you what's a confidence booster is when you look in the ESPN app at the spread and it's got BYU minus 3.5. And I'm saying that's just, when's the last time we've been favored against a team in the top 10?
I can't even remember.
Yeah, I have no idea. So statisticians find that out. When the last time we have been favored versus a top 10 opponent. So, I mean, that's fantastic. This is our litmus test. The last time we played them, we really didn't belong on the field with them. And so they controlled the whole game. They marched up and down the field on us. And so I would love to see our guys, take that little bit of an embarrassment and respond and give them everything they can handle this Saturday.
A couple of questions from our live stream around the world tonight for you. One is, since you've been on the team, what is the most what linebacker most resembles you? So we're going to go back a few years. Since you played to this day, which linebacker resembles you?
Oh, well, I'll flatter myself as much as I can and say Fred Warner.
Good answer. That's the one I'd go with too.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Brian. Is there somebody on this year's squad that plays similar to your style?
Well, he wears my number, Keenan Pili.
Yeah.
And when he got hurt, our defense just wasn't the same last year. And I think one of the similarities with him and me is I prided myself on being sideline to sideline, just relentless, being all over the field. And that's what he does and brings. And we really missed him after he got hurt last year. Our defense just was never the same. And so, yeah, he's a great player. And I really hope that he and the rest of our D stays healthy so we can can finish the year like we weren't able to last season.
All fall camp, we heard about Max Tooley. Everyone said, keep an eye on Max. He's having a great camp and really kind of grasped the position. And so he gets that pick 6 heading to the end zone. How happy were you for Tooley?
Oh, dude, I was like I saw it, you know, people who play football, you see things kind of before they happen. And I mean, I saw it, like he jumped, because he saw it. He jumped the route and I saw him jump the route. And it was just a fantastic read. That's that type of play. Like that's a special type of play. You have to have anticipation, coordination, instincts. It's just like not anybody can make that kind of play behind the line of scrimmage like that. And he did it. It was super impressive.
I'll tell you, Bryan, and you'll love this. I want to hear what you think about this. We had him on in the interview afterwards, and he took us through his mindset. And I'm telling you, from last year to this year, what a change. Because he says, well, they had doubles to the field. So as soon as the guy came in motion, it became trips. So I knew that I was going to be playing man, that we were going to check to man. So I knew that I had this guy. And then I thought the tendency would be to throw a screen. That would be the highest projected play. So I just waited. And as soon as the quarterback immediately turned and raised his shoulders, I jumped it. And I was deciding whether to just smack him and get the big hit or pick it. And in a split second, I decided to pick it instead and took it for 6. I was like, whoa. I just love everything you just said. What do you think about that explanation?
Man, that just warms my heart, dude. That's a guy who gets it. That's a guy who's put the time in to study his craft and understands not just what he's supposed to do, but what they're going to do, their tendencies, their formations. That's next level. That's, you know, when people become really good at football, they have the tangibles of size, speed, whatever, but that what you just described is what takes people to their game to elite levels, and you can't do it without what you just described. That's impressive. Just
a couple more minutes with Bryan Kehl before he goes to football practice. We asked Max Hall if that Hail Mary pass to win the alumni game last spring was his greatest moment at LaVell Edwards Stadium. He said no, but I can tell you it was Bryan Kehl's greatest moment. And then he laughed and he laughed and he laughed. How about that night?
You know what's funny is, so Max, he downplayed how great that moment was for him. So I can't tell you how many of his family members came up and thanked me because they knew how crappy of a mood he was going to be in if our team lost.
Yes.
His mom and his wife and someone else in his family, and they were just so thankful. And it made me laugh because that's who Max is. The guy hates losing. And consequently, the guy wins a lot. Mm-hmm. And obviously the winningest quarterback at BYU. And that was just such a fun night. And, I still get goosebumps just thinking about it. It's just so fun.
Such a great moment. Hey, this Saturday, what we need to get your prediction. And then we want to do a thing we call 5 questions. What's your prediction for the Baylor BYU game?
You know what? I like I said, that spread's 3.5. I'm going to go 28-24. I think we're going to cover, man. 28-24. Let's
awesome. 28-24 for what? Well, we'll get yours later. I think yours is really close to what McCann picked today.
It was right there. But we'll talk about that later. Former linebacker for the Giants, Rams, Commanders, Chiefs, and of course BYU, Bryan Kehl. 5 questions for you. Ready, Blaine? You want to lay it on him?
Yeah. So
these are rapid fire. They don't require a lot of thought.
You don't think about them a lot. You just do them. Okay. So, your favorite sports movie?
Ooh, Remember the Titans.
Thank you very much. That's mine as well.
That snaps a 2-week Hoosiers winning streak.
Hoosiers, like Marie Osmond comes on and does Hoosiers, and then I don't know. And then Amber Whiting came on, the women's basketball coach. She does Hoosiers. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're never gonna hear the end of this from Marie. So thank you for supporting me on Remember the Titans. Favorite band or singer?
Oh, cool. Right now, all time, Boyz II Men.
Boyz II Men.
Interesting.
That's what? They brought that first a cappella song. Thank you. Unbelievable. Go listen to it. Everybody, go listen to it.
Favorite breakfast cereal?
Life.
Life?
Do you do regular or cinnamon?
Regular Life, baby.
Regular
Mikey
Life.
likes it, and Brian likes it.
Okay.
When I was in the MTC, I ate a bowl of Life cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with the meal every single day.
Nice. That's how he kept his weight up so he could come back and play. Favorite NFL moment as a player?
Probably my fifth year, just my first week back with the Commanders, now they're called.
Yeah.
We played on Monday Night Football. We played the Giants, the team that drafted me and then cut me. And it was a great game, and we beat them, and it was just, man, that was fun. That was a good time.
Beating the team that cut you is a great moment. So,
fun.
All right, last one. Your favorite thing about coaching your son?
Everything. Well, the easiest answer is, so this is his first year playing tackle. He's been playing flag. And before I started coaching, I noticed I couldn't watch the game because people on the sideline want to talk to me the whole time. And so the first time I coached them in flag and I was on the field, it was great because I could sit there and watch the game and nobody bothered me. And these are the 8-year-olds, and I'm allowed to be on the field. And so it's great because I can just watch the game, coach my kid. Nobody bothers me. So that's my favorite part about it.
Awesome.
Hey, will you come back when we have a little more time and break down some of these games as the season grows older and as your Pee Wee football season wraps up?
Anytime, yeah. Glad to come on. Thanks for having me.
Love it. Hey, love to you and the family, Bryan. Give everybody our love.
Hey, I'm going to California with Kellen tomorrow. We're playing some golf. So.
I heard about this, and I'm jealous. So I think in honor of you guys, McCann and I ought to play at Riverside on Friday. I've already proposed that.
That's a great idea.
You guys do it. We'll compare scores.
I hope. Hey, hey, just so these guys know, like, it's you and all the old buddies. Who's all going? It's you and Bryce Mawika and
Austin Colley, Dennis Pitta,
Austin
Chris
Dennis,
Warner.
Pitta. Watch fun. Pitta on the scorecard.
How come you guys couldn't grab Corby Hotchkiss and get him to come down to that?
We tried to. He's on a hunting trip.
Oh, now that doesn't surprise me. I know what his priorities are. So,
hey.
all right, I love that crew. Love to all those guys too. Thanks, Bryan.
Take it easy on the boys out there. It's 1,000 degrees tonight.
Yeah. Hopefully it's cooler out there in California.
Yeah, that's true. It will be.
So,
all right, we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Great Bryan Kehl, outstanding linebacker. Boy, he and Nixon were quite the tag team on the football field.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Bryan would make plays. The thing that he said about Keenan Peely, that Keenan goes sideline to sideline, Bryan would make a play in the backfield, and then the next play he'd knock a ball down 18 yards down the field on the sideline. He'd get in his drops in pass coverage, and the quarterback would hold it, and he would get in his drops and get back down there and literally take away a comeback route on the sideline from underneath. I mean, just such unbelievable range. And he's right. He said, I'm going to flatter myself and compare myself to Fred Warner. But the other guys that were like that, with that kind of range, were Fred Warner and Kyle Van Noy, and like guys that are big-time players in the NFL. What a talent and what a good guy. Yeah, so Bryan played with my oldest son, Kellen. They all started together on the defense, and Kellen roomed with Bryan. They were roommates, too, before they were both married, before they found Jessica and Sarah. And they're all good friends.
Thank goodness they did.
Yeah, they're all good friends. And that's what football does. When you're brothers in football, you stay together literally forever. And it doesn't matter how far or how long you're apart, you get back together and you pick up right where you left off, just like your own family. And that's fun to hear that group all getting together and going down and playing. I'm jealous. They're all going down to California and play. But I do think you and I will play in honor of them.
Yeah. And all roads are leading to Saturday night.
That's right.
At Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Our next guest tonight took a handoff on a hot September night in Tuscaloosa, Alabama in 1998 and ran for a career-long 19 yards against the Crimson Tide defense. Suited up with the Cougars between 1996 and 2000. We welcome Will Snowden to the Wise Guys tonight. Will, welcome to the show. Do you remember that run?
Yeah, I do. I actually shouldn't have ever made that run. I was hurt. I pulled my hamstring Thursday before we were leaving, and we needed me. I guess they still needed me to play, and I'm happy I got that run. But I was pretty beat up that game.
What was your fullback Kalani Sitake doing on that play?
Yeah, what was it? What was he doing?
I don't know if Kalani was in that play. I think that we were in a single back set there. So I think he was enjoying some pickle juice, which he needed. Because he got injured that game, actually. He took a pretty bad shot trying to make a play on a ball. So he was sitting I think he was either drinking pickle juice or he was on his back trying to get some things worked out from an injury. Where I should have been as well, because I limped up the sideline. If I was healthy, I would have walked. That would have literally been my best run, longest run, and it would have been about 60 or 70 yards.
Oh, man.
Well, look, you led the team in rushing with 27 yards. They had Sean Alexander, who had 5 touchdowns and a 38-31 showing. You lose by a touchdown back at Alabama. They weren't ranked that year, so they must have been in a rebuild. But it was you and Sean Alexander going toe-to-toe there for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I think I only had 2 carries, though. So I think that I was 2 carries for 27, 28 yards, and one was 19. And another one was maybe and then another time they put me in on I think it was 3rd and 3 or 4th and 2 or something. It was a big run needed. And I'm like, why in the heavens am I in the game? So I'm hurting, but it worked out. I mean, it was a good game. And at least we got a chance to see the coming out of Sean Alexander, because he ran up and down the field on us. It was quite impressive.
And probably a pretty cool experience to be down in SEC country and play in that type of a venue, huh?
Well, man, it was exciting, and we fared really well. We had a chance to win the game. So a few things. I think if we would have been more healthy, I think we would have been able to win that game down there. But it was an unbelievable experience. The heat, the humidity, the fans, and it's a pretty green place to go play. So I enjoyed it, and that's one of my fondest memories, even though I was hurt and felt terrible.
Well, we want to take you another memory, only this time it's a win. It's a win, and I'm hoping you were healthy. Yeah, I'm hoping you're healthy in this game. We're going to take you to October 3rd, 1997. Utah State and BYU tied at 35, under 4 minutes to play. You get the ball on the 2-yard line. And as Austin Collie says, magic happens. You come away with a win 42-35. What about your memory of that one?
Well, that's just good living, that was a great memory to win the game. We actually drove all the way down. We had some real adversity that game with injuries to quarterbacks, and Paul came in and played really well. We had an injury to a couple backs, and I basically walked in the end zone. The O-line did a tremendous job hooking that end, and it was nice to put the Aggies to sleep in that way with an exciting, high-scoring game. So I remember that one. That's my first college touchdown my freshman year, so I'll never forget that one.
Here's another memory. November 8th, 1997. It's a shootout with Tulsa at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Kevin Federick drops back from the 18-yard line, and what happens next?
Well, the only thing that should happen when I'm in the game is you throw the ball to me. So I had a nice little wheel route. I don't know. We might have been on the 25-yard line. I had that was my first receiving touchdown in college. So that's also a great memory. And I've got a lot of great memories. Most of my memories, though, I always tell people I do a lot of stuff with radio, and I mentor a lot of kids, and I just let people know my role at BYU was to be a role player, and I played a pretty solid role. I did a lot more blocking than anything else. We had great backs at that time, great fullbacks, great tailbacks, and my role was to catch it sometimes and then really just get in the way of someone and try and block a little bit. So I cherish those times. I cherish those relationships I have with the players I played with. And we won a lot of games, and that was what it was all about.
What is it about college football? We were just talking to Bryan Kehl, and he just told us that he's getting together with 7 or 8 teammates, including my son Kellen that he played with, and they're all heading off on a golfing trip this weekend. What is it that makes college football so special that we all love to watch it, that you can remember plays from your freshman year, I can remember plays from my freshman year, kind of brings us all together, but also the relationships that seem like they just last for a lifetime? Why is college football so special that it can do all of those things?
Well, it's a sport that it is the ultimate team sport. I mean, you can play a lot of sports, and every sport is a team sport. We understand that, but nothing is like the team sport of football. You see it in basketball. It's really simple. If LeBron James came to play for BYU this year, I would be guaranteeing that we would be we'd be running deep into the tournament. That's one player can make that big of a difference. Same thing in baseball. If you have an ace pitcher, he can keep you in games. But in football, it's going to take every single guy, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of sacrifice. I came out of high school as a highly touted running back. that was used to just getting the ball. That's what I like to do. Give it to me and let me run. And then I got to college and they said, actually, we have other guys who can run the ball as well as you or better. So you better figure out another way to make an impact on this team. And I finally figured out how to do it into my senior year. Took me a while to really sacrifice. But once you sacrifice for everyone and everyone's sacrificing for each other, it builds a pretty aggressive bond. And then also it's the time that's spent. You get to college and you get thrown into this fraternity of young men. And that bond does last a lifetime because you spend so much time together and you sacrifice so much for each other. You build wonderful relationships, and that's how it is. I mean, I played on great teams. I played on tremendous teams with great individuals, and so many of them have had so much success outside of football, i.e. Kalani Sitake, i.e. Steve Sarkisian. I mean, it can go on and on and on just in the coaching world and then also in the business world with what guys have done. But I think it's just that you spend so much time together fighting for one goal and selling out for each other because you can't do it by yourself. That's what makes it special.
Will Snowden's on the Wise Guys tonight, ran the football for the great Lavelle Edwards at BYU. Let's talk about South Florida. What were you concerned about going into the game that you had answered as the Cougars came out?
So I'll be upfront with you. I don't know if you guys heard me. I did some radio last week, and I had zero concerns about going into the game.
All right.
I'm confident with what BYU would do. I thought that they wouldn't be ready for our trench play on the offensive line or the defensive line. I was confident that the running backs would come out and run hard. There's some things that I would like to, I think will be a little bit even more effective this week running the ball. We did leave some yards out there this past weekend. If you break down the film, you'll see it. And I know that the coaches have actually identified that and they will fix that. But I really didn't have any concerns besides just, keeping everyone healthy moving into this week. Now, this week, there are concerns that I'll discuss. And I do think that BYU is up to the challenge, but there is definitely concerns because the Baylor Bears are not South Florida. They will.
Amen. Yeah.
They're very well coached. They're really big and physical, and they expect to really win. And there is no question. Sometimes teams come in to play a team, and they are telling themselves that they're going to win, but Baylor believes that they're going to win. They know they can win, and they know it's going to take BYU's best game to win that game. So 2 different weeks. That's what makes this thing great. I thought that Jaron looked exceptional. I think he managed the game really well. Lopini, I was most impressed with him running the ball. I think he was downhill and he really looks the part. I feel like his body you can tell he's went to work this offseason and in the right way.
Yeah, I talked to him today. He's going to sit down with us on the Game Day show on Saturday night on BYU TV, and he's healthy. It seems like he's had some nagging thing since 2017.
Yeah.
But I reminded him, you have 25 touchdowns. That's quite a bit for a guy who's been a role player the whole time.
He's sometimes unheralded, Will, but yet he's contributed every time he's on the field. Maybe, and in both the pass and the run game. But we got a glimpse of 100% healthy Lopini, and I think he was better than we all expected. Would you agree?
Oh, no doubt. Well, I've been a big Lopini fan for a long time. I've been involved with him in high school and worked with him pretty closely and got a chance to really watch him do his work in high school. And what people don't know is Lopini can be just as effective on the defensive side of the ball. He could have chose to play safety and be a BYU great. Him at running back, he really is one of those unsung heroes who plays his role very well and extremely effectively. But this year, he's coming with a little bit more than I think everyone expected. He's got an extra step. He's faster this year. He's bigger. And obviously, he's extremely comfortable in this game now. I mean, it seems like I've been watching him play for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
It just seems like he's been there forever. But one thing that I know they can count on, he's the guy that is kind of the face of the program as far as just being able to count on his production. And I'm excited to continue to watch it this season. I got a chance to see him today a little bit and talk to him and let him know how much I'm appreciating his efforts. and let him know how good he looks. I mean, he really does look really good. The whole backfield does too, though. I mean, when you have three backs when you watch McChesney run the ball, another kid that I've been close with and love him. I mean, he gets downhill effectively. The ball's high and tight. He runs hard. He's explosive. Obviously, Brooks looks good. He's getting comfortable in the offense, and I think it's only upward for him. So the Cougars are dang sure dangerous this year.
So, Will, last year in Waco, BYU lost the line of scrimmage. Couldn't run the football and couldn't stop the Bears. This year, as BYU lines up, they line up with some NFL guys who've evolved, and there's no freshmen now in that mix. We had started 2 freshmen on the right side in Waco last year. So that matchup, and then flip it over to the other side of the ball where the Bears have 4 starters back on the offensive line, and BYU has a lot of experience on the D-line. So let's talk about the trench. What are you concerned about, and what are you optimistic about in those 2 matchups?
Well, so I'm very optimistic about what we're going to do up front on the offensive side of the ball. I'll line this O-line up against anyone in the country. And when I say anyone, I literally mean anyone. It doesn't matter. This is probably the best O-line we've ever had, and we've had some great O-lines. But this is a very, very, very experienced and very, very talented group. Which all of them. I mean, we're gonna have some high draft picks on that line, and I said picks, not just one, because obviously Freeland is freak, and everyone expects that. But I think LaChance is special. So I'll line the line up against anyone in the country. I'm still going to. What I do want to see is how we hold up on the defensive front. This O-line is, whenever Mateos and Grimes, they're known for O-line play. They're going to be nasty. They are very big, heavy-handed, and they have great feet. And they really do come. This is the type of game you want as a D lineman or the whole front 7, the backers as well, because they're going to come out ready to fight you. They're going to punch right. They're going to punch early. They're going to jab early. They're going to throw haymakers early. And the question will be, will you fight back? And so this will be the biggest challenge that BYU has seen in several games. Obviously, it's not South Florida, like I said, but I do think they're up to the challenge. What Elisa and that whole defensive line coaching staff needs to make sure of is the pad level has to be right, because if the pad level is wrong, you will see people being driven off the ball, and it will not be pretty. And so I do think that we'll spend a lot of time fundamentally this week, making sure the pad level, the strikes are where they need to be, and that you're in the gap that you need to be in, and that you're holding those gaps, because they do an exceptional job. Everyone knows that Coach Grimes is probably the most respected O-line coach in the country. I think that Coach Grimes is going to come in here with a real chip on his shoulder. He wants to win this game, and he wants to do it in dominant fashion. He wants to dominate the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be the fight for Saturday night, and it'll be fun to watch.
One of our we're still talking about the 2 groups up front, offensive, defensive line, really the front 7 on D. But one of our listeners asked, Freeland, Barrington, or Kingsley Samatea, who stood out the most to you against South Florida?
Oh man, they all looked really good. I was excited to see Kingsley back in. So it's not a fair question for me because I wasn't very impressed with Kingsley, but obviously I've been a long time, big time fan of Kingsley. So I watched him a little bit closer. But Freeland he's as good as advertised. He's as good as they come. I haven't seen a tackle at BYU as dominant since John Tate. And John Tate was a big-time first-round draft pick who played in the NFL forever. That's my expectation for Freeland. But that's also my expectation for, 3 other of the guys. That's a nasty group of young men.
We broke down a play today, Will, on our After Further Review show. It was a screen, a bubble screen, and Freeland was at left tackle, and he made the key block on a corner on the sideline. He got out there as quick as the screen player got out there. And I just commented, I said, dudes that big are not supposed to be able to be that agile and get out there that quick. He really is a freak, isn't he?
He's an absolute freak. I mean, he is an absolute freak. Now Kingsley is an absolute freak as well, and so is LaChance. They've just done these guys have put in the work off season, during season, but you just don't look like that and move that like that without putting in extra work. And it's obvious that they've put in the work. But Freeland, like I said, it's just I've got to contain myself when I get home and this guy can do this. This guy is special. I mean, that's what it is. He's special, and I think it's helped him a lot with playing so many different sports and playing so many different positions. I mean, he's just a freak athlete. Period.
Will Snowden is with us. We're going to ask you for a prediction in just a couple of minutes on that game for Saturday night. Your profession involves a lot of teaching, evaluating, creating opportunities for high school kids to get to the level of football that we're talking about here tonight on the Wise Guys and get a college education. Alpha recruits, alpha camps. Tell us about that.
So what we do is the focus is, several years ago I had a kid coming out, my oldest son, and I was a little lost on, what's the best direction to take him. Really good player. It's so tough for parents and even high school coaches if you're not in this all the time, to really identify where your son sits, right? Where your player sits. So the biggest thing that we try and do is we have 4 things that we focus on. We want to educate you, help you understand how this business works, because college football is a major business. It's a big step away from high school football.
Yeah.
Number 2, we want to train you, because we want to make sure that I want to be able to call coaches and email coaches and utilize my relationships nationally, but I want to be able to give them a true evaluation. So we train our kids. Then we mentor these kids, and we mentor them, and I call that kind of mentoring them, making sure that we're covering everything from mental strength to whatever it is they need. And then we market the heck out of the kids. I spend time calling, emailing. That's my whole life, actually, calling and emailing and bothering coaches. And it takes a lot of time. It's kind of a 24-hour job, 7 days a week. But I do it because I love these kids and their dream of playing college football. And we have a lot of kids playing college ball. Another thing is I wanted to be more aggressive with getting Utah on the map as far as the talent that it has. This is one of the most under-recruited, underrated states. And as you've seen over the few years, it's starting to get better and better and better. And it comes from people like me, but not just me. There's more people in this state that are taking advantage of spending time with these kids and marketing these kids and reaching out to coaches and telling their story, because at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to hearing the kid's story, because there's so many kids. It's so overwhelming for recruiting coordinators and position coaches, because there's so much access to kids, but that means you have access to literally hundreds of thousands of kids, and you don't have the time to evaluate them. It's not like when we were coming out and, people were sending VHS tapes. I mean, with Twitter and email, you can imagine how many emails the BYU recruiting coordinator is getting every day of film. It's hundreds and thousands of emails. We focus on creating relationships with coaches, building trust in what we do as far as how we train, and then we're able to create relationships with our players and connect them with coaches. And we've been very successful. And this year is a great year. We have a great class. I got a great 2024 class and 2025 class. And so, I'm complaining about all the work, but it's a pretty cool job.
That is awesome. We just put up on our site, both at Twitch and on our YouTube, the link so people can learn more about Alpha Recruits. You have a fun thing going right now. We were just talking to Bryan Kehl, and he was going to football practice with his 8-year-old. With Cruz, that's his oldest, and he's coaching the 8-year-olds, and we're talking about what he loves. You've had a chance. Smith is your son that's in that age group right now, where you're doing all these things that you're just talking about with Smith. How much fun is that to be able to coach your boy and to help him with these decisions and get him ready for that?
Well, it's been quite fun. Smith's an exceptional young man. He really is. What a blessing he's been to our family, and he kind of gets it. He, at a young age, he had goals that he wanted to aspire to accomplish, and he went out and worked for it, and we gave him the blueprint, because both of my other sons have played college football. My oldest son, Drayden, he went to Utah State out of high school. Then he ended up transferring, and he was a 3-year starter at nickel for Weber State, so he played for Jay Hill. My other son went to Snow College, played 2 years there, but had some injuries and had to step away. So, and we come from a major football family. Both my father played. He played in the NFL with the Skins. My brother played with the Denver Broncos and the Toronto Argonauts. So we have a long line of football players, but it's been fun. Smith's gotten a lot of recognition, and he deserves it all. I mean, he really does deserve it because of his work ethic. And now I'm just trying to figure out where he's going to end up going to college, and hoping that, not trying to put any pressure on him at all, but just hoping he makes the right decision.
We had Brandon Doman on with us last week, and we told everybody, hey, watch that Skyridge football team. You got a Doman at one corner and a Snowden at the other corner, right?
It's pretty crazy. He's a great little player as well. That's a loaded team. Big game this week against Tempe, who has a lot of talent, a lot of BYU a lot of guys that BYU is recruiting aggressively on both teams. So I'm excited to watch that. But once again, as far as working with Smith and guiding him through this, it's been fun. He picked up a big SEC offer today from Tennessee. So he's got a lot of suitors coming after him, and we'll see what he ends up doing.
How is today's athlete different from when you were coming out of Boulder High School in Colorado a few years back?
Well, I'll tell you, the elite athlete, I mean, I was an elite athlete coming out, and and there was just no way I would be able to keep up with what these guys are doing. The work ethic is different. Also, the opportunities that they have. I mean, if you look at my program, and who I have working with our players positionally, my son Drayden is probably one of the better DB specialists in the country. He does an exceptional job. He is the reason that Smith is as effective as he is. But also a lot of our corners in secondary, he works with them and trains them. And so these guys are more year round with training, right? They're concerned about their nutrition. They're eating better. They're running obviously so much faster than we were running. And it just comes down to their commitment to training and health. I will say, and so I do think it's just the support they get as well. So are they so much better? Yes. And it's because they work more and they have access to more information to be better.
We just talked about BYU up front, especially on the offensive line, and I agree with you 100%, Will, and that is they have multiple NFL picks in that program now. How do you feel about BYU's recruiting and the talent level as they move? It seemed like it was forever. Like now they're moving into the Big 12 next fall. Have they recruited, and is the recruiting in a position where they're going to be able to compete in that league from a talent perspective?
I think we still have some work to do. I mean, BYU, we still aren't as deep as we need to be, obviously. That's something we need to be better at. But I do trust Kalani and the rest of the staff to go and recruit these players aggressively, because in the independent era, we can recruit kind of independently. Now we're going to be competing against all of those schools up on the wall. Plus, we're going to be competing against the schools that get added. So we're really going to have to, step up our recruiting to win some of the talent that we want. That's LDS talent. That's all talent. We're going to have to really step it up and be more aggressive. And I think they've made some hires to put themselves in position because they understand that's going to happen. So right now, I feel like we're going in the right direction. It comes down to getting some top guys. Smith Snowden being one of them. We've lost a couple of guys that I was hoping to get, and Hunter Clegg and some other individuals. But at the end of the day, BYU is going to be BYU. We're going to fight you till the end. We're going to play with tradition. I just want to make sure that, that kids understand what BYU football is, because, some of these kids coming out, my son was born in 2005 or whatever. So his experience of everything that happened before 2005 in Brigham Young football, sometimes these guys don't truly understand the tradition that Brigham Young football actually brings. And so I hope parents and I hope fans and I hope the kids will actually understand what it means to play for BYU football and understand how much of a big deal it is, because traditionally we're a top 25 program who've won every big game you can imagine, and we will continue to because of our tradition and our fight and who we are and what we stand for.
We were on game day the other night, and Brian Logan said that we asked a history question. He goes, I don't go back any further than 2009. So then I reintroduced him to David Nixon and Blaine Fowler.
I was like, wait a minute. Hey,
who had come before him.
I was like, Bilo, I'm going to bring my national championship ring in, and so you can see it sometime.
Yeah, and that's how it is. So so that's what I will say. I feel like when I was coming out, I was really more well-versed historically on what was going on in football. I think that the kids today, they don't spend as much time actually watching football. They, don't get me wrong, they watch film, but they're not sitting around on a Saturday or a Sunday after church or whatever they do, just watching games. The majority, because you have your phone and you have these distractions, and they get a chance to look at more highlights than just actually breaking down, watching a whole college game or watching a whole NFL game. So they're not understanding the history of what the things that came before them. So I try and spend a lot of time with Smith, helping him identify players who came before him so he can respect that. All of the BYU guys who came before him and all the schools that are recruiting him, and NFL guys besides just the guys who are there now, because there's so much to learn from it.
That's a great perspective to bring to your son. I love that.
A couple more minutes with Will Snowden. Dave Almodova is going to join us at the top of the hour. I love that thing on the wall behind you. A good name is better than wealth. Are you telling these kids a good name is better than wealth as they chase dollar signs and all that's changed now with how recruits sign with colleges?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, we live by that mantra in our home, and it's something that I preach to all the kids. I mean, everything to me is who are you in your community, right? So I spend a lot of time with my kids on the things that really matter to me. And what I think obviously really matter in this world. Football's great. I don't want anyone I mentor to be thrown in the football box. So I don't want my son thrown in the football box. He's much more than a great football player, and he'll always know that. But yes, your name means everything. Who you are in your community means everything, and we want to make sure that my guys know that. Here comes Smith walking.
Hey,
in right
Smith.
now.
How's it going?
Good.
So,
Hey, I went and watched him play, Will. I didn't know I was going to go watch him play. Hey, I went and watched you play. Smith did a great job. I was sitting up by Brandon. The reason I went was because my granddaughter was in the dance the dance thing at halftime. So we went up and watched that, and then I had the great treat to be able to watch Smith, and we didn't get to see Brandon's boy because he was injured. But you're opposite corner, Smith. But excited for you guys up there at Sky Ridge. Great coaching staff with a lot of tradition. You guys are rolling. That's fun. That's fun stuff.
Yeah, we are. It's gonna be a fun season.
Yep.
Hey, Smith, does your dad ever talk to you about when he ran for 19 yards on a carry in Tuscaloosa against Alabama on a hot, humid night?
Wait, and let's add, with a pulled hamstring.
With a pulled hamstring,
he went for 19
Career-long run against the Crimson Tide. Does that ever come up over dinner?
Talking about that day. He was the leading rusher. He's always talking about it. Back to the glory days.
First off, I'm not always talking about it, but sometimes you have to let these youngsters know that I've been there and done it as well.
That's awesome.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
All right, let's get your prediction for Saturday. What's it going to be?
Well, I've been struggling with this as I break it down, trying to identify what I think is going to happen in the game. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys what I'm going with. I'm going 31-27 Cougars.
I went 31-28 on after further review today.
So
Will and I think a lot alike.
You and Will I went 34-24 is what I picked. Bryan Kehl picked 28-24. He says it's 3.5 points. He says they're going to cover though, 28-24. We all have the Cougs winning, which I like. And we're all similar. It sounds like we're all pretty confident that BYU is going to be able to score on this Baylor defense. We're all kind of in that. Everybody we've talked to, high 20s to the mid 30s is that what our general consensus from everybody we're talking to. But you're right close to McCann on that one, Will. You guys are close.
Well, I think that's what I'm expecting, and I think that the fan base is going to be pretty excited for this game. I think the Rock will be rocking, and I'm going to be in there watching it. I'm excited to watch it, and I think the boys are ready. But we're a few days away, and we've got there are some things offensively. 31 points, McCann, with us saying those points. That means we expect a lot of people to step up offensively with questions on Puka, questions on Gunner. But whenever you have a quarterback at the level of Jaron Hall and the way he's playing right now, you've got a wonderful shot.
Yeah, that's what it all comes down to. When that quarterback is spreading the ball around and getting to 12 different receivers he found this last game, it's impressive, and that makes all the difference. That's why I say they get into the 30s in this game because of Jaron Hall.
All right, let's wrap up with 5 questions. Rapid fire. You ready?
Yep.
Favorite sports movie?
Ooh, that's
Suddenly we're not so ready, are we? Yeah. Now we're getting into the
my favorite. That's a really tough one, but I'll go with Remember the Titans.
Yes. That's mine as well, and it's also Bryan Kehl's. We were going on a Hoosier streak here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Because that's, to be honest, Hoosiers is a really classic movie. I really love that movie, but I'll still stick with Remember the Titans.
I love. I'm glad you went football. You know who started the Hoosiers thing? Marie Osmond was on the show a couple weeks ago, and Marie starts Hoosiers, and then for the next couple weeks it's Hoosiers. So
She didn't even hesitate either. It was it's the best movie.
So Remember
Hoosiers.
the Titans. We love it. All right. Favorite band or singer?
U2. No. My favorite band or singer?
Yeah,
Or
it could
singer,
be a
yeah.
band or a singer. It could be a solo artist.
Favorite band is I'll go with band, and I'll go with Dave Matthews.
Oh, Dave Matthews Band. That's old school. Okay. Feeling that.
Favorite breakfast cereal?
Oh man, this is another great one, but I'll go with Cinnamon Life.
Thank you very much. That's mine as well. Will, you and I need to hang because
Kehl went with just life.
Yeah, he
just
went with
plain life.
old life. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Cinnamon
Who
Life.
did that?
Bryan Kehl.
Kehl.
You know he's got problems. I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Nobody eats regular life.
Does he eat regular Cheerios too?
That's
his
you know
staple?
what?
Probably.
Who told us? I think Brandon Doman said regular Cheerios. No, he said.
I thought he said O's.
He said O's.
Did he
That's
say
right.
O's?
And I said, "Do they have sugar on them?" He's like, "Yep." I'm like, "Okay, I'm good with that." So, okay, your favorite ice cream?
You know, I'm not a big ice cream guy, but I am. But when I do ice cream, I go with Oreo. But I really like Oreo and cookie dough mixed.
Oreo and cookie dough mixed. So if it's not ice cream, what's your favorite kind of cheat food
Dessert.
sweets dessert?
I'm very weak for cake.
Oh, okay.
All right. 5th one and final one for the great Will Snowden. Your favorite BYU memory?
Mine, was I involved with the memory or?
You know, it doesn't have to be. It could be one you were involved with, where you played, or one that you just remember that just sticks in your mind as a great moment.
Favorite BYU memory. There's so many greats, but I would probably say my favorite memory. For me, I'll go with one I played in. We went down to Virginia in 2000, my senior year. We were getting smacked in the first half, and we came back and devastated them in overtime to win the game while they opened their new stadium. The crowd was crazy. We played terrible. We turned it on in the second half and silenced quite a big crowd.
Was that the Engelman?
I think Engelman
half?
was your quarterback,
was Brett the one that came in and just threw like a crazy man in the second half? That was the one, right?
Yeah, Engelman went crazy. That was the year of we played a lot of quarterbacks, but Engelman was special that game.
Yep, I see Brett at the gym all the time lifting. He still looks like he could go play.
Oh, for sure. He looks great.
Big, handsome dude. So, yep, I remember that game well. That's a great one.
Hey, I'm going to throw one bonus question at you, and we appreciate your time. We probably kept you longer than you expected. This expansion of the college football playoff, does it save the current P5s as they are for the next 6 years, the conferences?
I feel really comfortable with it. I've been screaming for this since the beginning of the playoffs. I do think it saves and gives us all a little bit more hope with what the opportunity can be. And at the end of the day, dollars make sense to these people. That's why we're going to get there. But also, obviously, I always love the underdog, and I'm voting for the underdog. So as soon as we get to 12, you know who I'll be pulling for is number 12, no matter who it is, unless they're playing my Cougs. I'm excited for it, and I do think it saves it.
All right.
Awesome.
Will Snowden, thank you for
Will,
joining us. We
thanks
hope
so
you'll
much,
join us
brother.
again down the road.
Thanks for having me, guys. Anytime. Go Cougs, big weekend ahead of us. So we'll see about this score.
Hey, and congratulations with all you're doing on the field and off the field, especially for these kids who are marching into college and into life, and we salute you for that.
Yeah, we love the things that you're teaching. Those are great things.
I appreciate it, guys. Hey, you have a great night. I love the show. Keep it up.
Thanks,
you.
Will.
Will Snowden ran the football. Probably should have ran it a little more than he had. Could have had a few more throws his way. But he is a strong voice in this recruiting world.
Yes.
And he loves the Cougs, and he had a chance to play as Lavelle wrapped up his career.
Yes, he did.
And great story.
And Will's always been, when he was there and since he's left BYU, just a great representative of BYU and what it's all about. So we're so glad that we got a chance to have Will on the show with us tonight.
I just saw one of the questions on the live stream, and you join us on Twitch. Just hit the little Twitch icon down at the bottom of the screen, and that'll take you to where you can sign up for a free account, and then that allows you to ask us or our guests questions, which is really the whole purpose of this show, is to flip the power switch on and talk BYU football and everything else that we roll out. Occasionally we'll have singers and performers and all those things come through here.
They're all tied.
All tied to BYU.
And they're all and you know what? They're even tied to sports. Like, remember when Marie came on? Mm-hmm. She was phenomenal with her breakdown of BYU's defense. Plus, she dated Steve Young once or twice back in the olden days.
Married Steve Craig.
And
went out on a date with Devin Durant. And Robbie Bosco's her favorite quarterback. So that's her wheelhouse.
We were all in school about the same time. And so people are like, you have Marie on the show. She's not sports. I'm going, yes, she is sports. And she was phenomenal.
And she's BYU.
And, of course, we had former Governor Gary Herbert on, and people were like, the governor? That's not sports. I'm like, you don't know the governor.
Played quarterback for the Orem Golden Tigers.
And he's our golf buddy, and he covered sports like nobody's business when he came on the show. So, and we even had Clark Heyman on, who's going to be on with us on Countdown to Kickoff on Saturday.
Coordinating the flyover.
And Clark's a BYU grad was a fighter pilot and a wing commander and all those great things, and he coordinates the flyovers. He coordinated the flyover at the Florida-Utah game this last Saturday, and he's coordinating the flyover at the BYU game this week. So, sometimes we branch out, but those branches all come back to the trunk at some point, right?
The trunk is the Cougs. Next week, Brandon Ogletree, speaking of trunks, Tree Trunks, nicknamed Tree, former linebacker. Trent Pratt, the head baseball coach. Dan Forsman, 5-time PGA Tour winner. And Scott Gearhart, the Northwest director of the BYU Alumni Association. We'll bring him on so everyone in the Northwest going to the Oregon game can find out what's up at the alumni activity. So that's next week. Later tonight, Carrie Roberts, women's golf coach, will join the Wise Guys. Our next guest knows how to throw a party. And not only that, he's inviting everybody to come to his house.
Absolutely.
Or Lavelle's house. David Almodova is the assistant athletic director over marketing and promotions at BYU. He's been working on Saturday's pregame festivities for months, and we welcome him. It's always good to have another Dave on the Wise Guys. I'm all for that, and we bring him in. David, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. How y'all doing tonight?
We're doing good. Are you ready for Saturday night?
No, not yet.
but hey, believe me, we go to after further review today, and they're telling us, okay, now let's do a little production meeting. Let's talk about Saturday and where you guys are going to be. And we're like, so, like, you have a stage built and everything over there? And they go, no. We go, what do you mean no?
But we will.
It's game week. They said it'll be built by Saturday. We'll have a whole stage set for you guys by Saturday. So we're not ready either, David. Don't worry about it. It'll all be ready by Saturday, right?
That's correct. That's
What is new? What is new for the fan experience coming to this game?
So we'll start at 8 a.m. that morning with the tower climb at LaBelder Stadium. For those who attended last year, it's we do that in commemorative with 9/11.
Yeah.
And so basically that'll start at 8 a.m. That morning, and away we go with the rest of the day's activities. So we have our Cougar Canyon experience will be open starting at 5 o'clock. We'll have a live band. We'll have the Cougar Walk at 6 o'clock.
Hey, Dave, do you on the Cougar Canyon? Do you have to have tickets to the game, or can you just come to the Cougar Canyon?
All fans are welcome to Cougar Canyon. You don't need a ticket to attend. Come and have fun. We'll have food trucks, and BYU Radio will be out there, and a lot of sponsorship activation and different interactive games for fans to come and be a part of.
Is the band Van Halen? Can you confirm that? Is it Van Halen that'll be performing?
Close, but no. That would be amazing. If you have connections to them, please give me their number.
I've got some connections, but not to Van Halen. That's a little beyond me. But the good thing is the weather's going to be, the high is like 85. So once we get close to game time, it's going to feel like a little bit like a September football night. So Cougar Canyon is out in front of the stadium, which is the west side. If you're coming to that, you just find a spot to park like anywhere near the stadium along the street and then just walk in?
Absolutely. You know, another thing that we're adding, and Blaine, you kind of touched on it earlier, but we're bringing Countdown to Kickoff onto Cougar Canyon, which will be a big and a great enhancement. We've been working with Jeff Simpson, and the stage I'm excited for and what they have cooking up. Will be really exciting to have that show out on Cougar Canyon.
I know we're going to have the commissioner of the Big 12 out there with us.
Big 12 commissioner will be there.
We're going to have some Baylor folks on set with us. It's going to be very much if they've watched Game Day on ESPN, that's the feel. And we hope that fans will come join us in Cougar Canyon, do all of the things in Cougar Canyon, but be part of our audience there. And get yourself on TV. Bring some signs if you want.
Chip Gaines is going to join us.
Is Chip joining us or Joanna? Because I wanted Joanna to join us.
Joanna's got things going on. I think it's Chip coming in.
So Chip Gaines is coming, but he's okay, but he's not Joanna.
Now, Major Clark Heyman told us that a KC-135 is going to buzz the stadium. It won't be the electrifying speed of the F-15s that we saw last year, but this is going to be kind of a cool sight because this is one big bad boy just kind of hovering in the sky. I'm curious to see it fly over.
Yes, and it's loud, so that's a good thing. We had the same aircraft fly over, I want to say in 2008 or 2009, I can't remember, but we did have this big aircraft fly over then, and they are loud, so that'll be a good touch pre-game. But again, we just want to encourage all of our fans to come early, set up a spot, go and tailgate. That's one of the best things you can do on a game day, is to enhance your family's experience by tailgating all day on Saturday. So great weather, like you said, Dave.
Yeah.
You mentioned, David, that there's few new elements in Cougar Canyon, including game day there. What about in the stadium? Are there any things we should be looking for? Like what types of things do you have planned for the in-stadium experience this year?
Sure. Still working on a few things. So we just need some approvals for some of the things we're trying to add. So we won't know until close to game day. We're going to add a few different elements to our third quarter break, which I don't want to give away just yet. So we'll wait till that night. But yeah, just always continuing to try to build the in-game experience. So it should be a lot of fun.
By the way, Blaine and I what? Go ahead.
What we need to do is have everybody come in that night to bring the noise, because we want it loud. We want it to be louder than ASU last year. So we just need fans to come and be loud.
David, you and I and Dave Nixon were standing next to each other at that Arizona State game, weren't we? And
yes, we were.
And we commented that it was deafening. Dave Nixon said, I don't even know how you think when it's this loud. And then they proceeded was it 3 false start penalties?
It was 4.
It was 4
false starts.
So 4 false starts
in a row.
And people want to know if the fans can have an impact on a game. Is there any question that the fans had an impact on the Arizona State outcome?
100%. And that was a key moment in the game, right? When those four false starts happened. So fans are definitely have a place and have a chance in the game to really affect the opposing team and help our team as well.
Let's talk about fireworks, which is outside of flyovers, is my favorite topic to talk about in pregame and postgame celebrations. I think you've done a great job over the years as the Cougars come out of the locker room and just the way they take the field with the fireworks going off, and nothing creates a buzz in the stadium more than explosions. And are you enhancing that? Will there be more fire in the stadium? And after the game, I know when the Cougars win, it seems like you light up the sky with a mini show.
again, all things we're working on for this weekend and waiting for approval. So,
so that tells me the answer is yes. And by the way, Blaine and I approve all of those things.
We prove it. So,
hey, and then after, it's going to be a late night, but sometimes there's dance parties out there where Cougar Canyon was before the game. Is that going to still go on this year?
Not after this game. Not this week.
Well, this one's going to be a late night.
It's a little too late, right?
Late night, little too late. And hopefully fans, if they want to celebrate on their own, by all means, celebrate.
So we can have an impromptu dance party out in front of the stadium.
And both of you are the DJ and MCs.
We'll do it. Hey, which is going to be better, David? BYU's victory this week, or you and I at the Masters this past spring?
That was an unbelievable experience that I'll never forget. But I really hope we play well this Saturday, and hopefully we come out on top. It'll be a tough one. It'll be a tough one.
Even Corey, who hosted David and I at the Masters this last year, and it is a big week. I just say he runs the Asian PGA Tour because pretty much he does. Corey's a big BYU guy. People don't know that, and he joins us sometimes on the show from Japan.
Oh, wow.
And I could tell you that Corey would say he would rather see BYU beat Baylor and be at that game than be at the Masters. No question. Don't you think, David?
I 100% agree. Yeah, Corey's the man.
So how much stress will you be under, say, Friday night? Because Saturday's the big game.
Saturday's a big game. It started a few weeks ago, Dave, and we're just working our way till Saturday. The thing about this whole thing, though, is I have an amazing staff. Our fan experience and marketing team are amazing at what they do. And so, Anna Metcalf leads that team, and I am very confident in what we have discussed and talked about and collaborated on, that it all come to fruition on Saturday, and hopefully we can create the best experience we can for our fans.
Feels like we should do 5 questions. Should we do 5 questions with David Almodova?
You know what? Well, somebody asked if you grew up in Laie.
Yes.
So he did grow up in Laie. That's one of the.
Do you remember the Hadleys?
Yeah.
From across the street? Yeah. Yes. Jack Hadley is the executive producer of our show right over here.
He's sitting over here.
He's waving to you.
He said he grew up, but this was another fan.
It's like a luau now.
So there's 3 of you that are tied. Jack, we have to figure out who that was that tweeted in and asked if you grew up in Laie. So there's 3 of you from Laie. So and then by the way,
my neighbors, I grew up right next to the Anais. They were my next door neighbors.
So there you go.
Just some reference there.
I used to play free at the old Kahuku golf course where instead of a clubhouse there was a trailer, and I would go in and they would say some ridiculous cost when I knew it didn't cost that much, and they would say, you're not from here, and I would go, do you know that Coach Famika Anai is a good friend of mine and coached me on the JV team when I was a freshman at BYU? And they said, oh, you knew Coach Anai? And I go, yeah. And they go, yeah, you could play for free. So then they would let me play for free. So, hey, and by the way, our buddy Corey Yoshimura he's on with us tonight from in Japan, and
hey, Corey.
He asked you how your golf game's going these days, and then he says asked if you're going to do camo gear again for 9/11 week, and then is asking when the Sailor Coug is going to come back on the helmet. Those are some big time questions from Corey.
Tough. I'm going to have to call him later.
Those require longer answers.
Okay, Corey, you're going to get a call from David.
David Almodova is in charge of all the festivities, 5 o'clock, Cougar Canyon. And you heard him say you don't need a ticket to get into the stadium to come down and just experience the experience of opening night in Provo. And the flyover is like at 8:05. And so if you're in the stadium or you're near the stadium or you're anywhere in Provo, it's going to be kind of cool. Sets the tone for one of the biggest home openers in school history with 9th-ranked Baylor coming into town. All right, 5 questions for you. You ready?
Ready.
Okay, we always start with favorite sports movie.
Wow. Man, that's Friday Night Lights. I know it's not a movie, but it's a series. Does that count?
No, they actually had a movie also.
I know they did, but I love the series.
The series
does that count, or does it have to be movie?
No, you can do that.
No, you can do that one because Brenda and I, my wife, we got addicted to that whole thing.
If you promise more fire in the stadium on Saturday, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever you want. So we're gonna go with Friday Night Lights
because Stadium of Fire was the last big event.
Yep.
And so now we have a Stadium of Fire coming on Saturday night.
Yep.
Favorite band or singer?
Favorite band or singer? Man, I've gotten really into country music lately, so I'm going to say Garth Brooks.
Good
Garth
choice.
Brooks,
That guy can put on a concert.
Oh,
He can
man.
put on a show.
He's one of the greatest entertainers of all time. So,
Keith Urban's in
Yes.
town next week up at USANA. He's another awesome.
So, favorite breakfast cereal? This is always an interesting one.
Frosted Flakes.
old school.
I just had
old school
frosted. I
classic.
just had some Frosted Flakes before I came and did the show tonight. Just for your information, nothing better, because Tony the Tiger says they're great.
Favorite
That's
ice
right.
cream. Favorite ice cream.
Guys, I'm plain Jane when it comes to ice cream. So the good old-fashioned vanilla bean ice cream.
Vanilla bean.
Anything goes great with
Hey, and
vanilla.
I'm going to go off our normal because one of our viewers, Obie Grace, says on the 5 questions, can you ask David what his actual favorite breakfast is, and if it's not Spam, eggs, and rice, is he really from Hawaii?
How about the Loco Moco?
What's Logo Moco?
Blaine, are you serious?
Yeah, tell me. I'm lost.
Yeah, I don't know either. This is
Gosh.
next level
Okay,
stuff.
Loco Moco. We have 2 hamburger patties
Mm-hmm.
on a bed of rice with 2 fried eggs over it and brown gravy. And if you want to enhance it, you add Portuguese sausage or Spam to that meal.
That's what I'm talking about. So now here, I didn't know it was called Loco Moco, but I've eaten that when I've been over in Hawaii
Yes.
with the guys for sure. So
So
David,
that's
we were counting it up. Brenda and I were counting it up. I don't know. The kids were asking us how many times I've been to Hawaii, and we got it like 68 or something, and we stopped counting on how many times I've been over.
that's a lot of trips.
Yeah, that's a lot of trips.
Stick with Frosted Flakes. You'll never. Your favorite flyover. Your favorite
Last year's
flyover.
Utah game.
How come?
Last year's Utah game. Because what it did for the stadium, what it did for I was on that field and just I'd never felt that way after a flyover.
It's amazing.
And a lot of people around me felt the same way. And that's a lot of the feedback we got after the game that night. Obviously the win was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But second to that was everybody talked about the flyover.
You've been involved in a lot. We're asking you like 8 questions. So, but you know what? You're the guy, so we're doing it. And this can be the last one. What's your favorite BYU memory? You've been around for some of the amazing moments in BYU sports history. What's your favorite memory?
For me right now, I'm going to have to say the 2009 BYU Oklahoma game in Cowboy Stadium.
That's
And the reason I say that is going into that game, if we remember, Harvey Unga was out, and you're sitting there going, how do we even compete on the stage with the number 2 ranked team in the country with 65,000 OU fans? And to come out victorious in that game, that was a moment I'll never forget. Obviously, there's a lot of great other moments, but that one for me in particular was amazing.
Pretty special. Pretty special.
Hey, one of our live streamers says, we love all the things David's doing with the fan experience. Keep them coming. I think everyone appreciates it.
And then I mean, and the compliments are piling up. Although they did ask, does David sleep at all on Friday night? And then another one saying, nice job, David. You guys do an amazing job. You do a great job. Lots of folks chiming in and telling you thanks and giving you compliments here.
Hey, we
Thank
appreciate
you. We appreciate Cougar Nation. We love you guys.
David Almodova on with us. Thank you, Dave. We'll see you all day on Saturday into Saturday night.
Sounds good.
And we'll have
Sounds
quite
good.
a night.
And hopefully you and I can stand down on the field together sometime when the rock is needed and watch 3 straight false start penalties out of the Baylor Bears because it's so loud. Let's root for that again.
I'm ready for it.
All
Thanks,
right, brother.
guys. Go
We'll
Cougs.
see you Saturday.
We'll let you get back to work. That's a tough job that David has.
Oh, my goodness.
And then all the timing. You have a pregame show that's all set on the clock, and then all of a sudden ESPN goes, we're gonna come on 10 minutes later, and then you reset the clock, and you don't know because there's a game on before. Like I think this week Kentucky and Florida play before the broadcast for BYU and Baylor, and if that game goes into overtime or whatever, all of a sudden instead of an 8:15 kick, now we're kicking at 8:25. And it's David's job then to adjust the whole pregame show. When's the band going to play? And remember last year before the Utah game, that kind of got jacked up by ESPN. So the anthem ends and the Jets aren't there yet. And Clark told us they were behind because they're coming over at a certain time.
Right.
Whether or not the band is done or not. And the band went early, played early because the clock was readjusted from ESPN. And so the crowd's like chanting USA, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, these F-15s come blasting through. And so that's a lot of stress on game night.
I think about that whole fan experience outside the stadium in Cougar Canyon is under Dave's direction. And it doesn't end with football. Then all of the things that happen in the Marriott Center, that's David's. Every promotion and fun thing that happens at these games across sports comes under David Almodova's shop, and he just does a phenomenal job. That's a lot of moving parts and pieces and a lot of folks involved, and BYU's fan experience is second to none. It's pretty amazing.
Later this month on the Wise Guys, Margin Hooks, Austin Colley, Ed Eyestone, Devin Durant, Andrew Rich, Rob Jensen, Travis Hansen. They'll all be with us. They're all unique in their own ways, and makes for some exciting interviews that we look forward to here on the Wise Guys. Our next guest is the most influential women's golfer in BYU history, both as a player and as a head coach. While playing for the Cougars, she was a back-to-back Mountain West Conference Golfer of the Year, a member of the Mountain West Conference All-Decade Team, honorable mention All-American, and as head coach, she's a three-time WCC Coach of the Year, who's also played on the LPGA Tour, and, by the way, is in the BYU Hall of Fame. On occasion, she gives us advice when we're on the golf course, and it is our pleasure to welcome our friend and BYU head women's golf coach, Carrie Roberts. Carrie, welcome to the Wise Guys.
Hey.
How about that introduction?
Hey, boys,
is all that true?
Doing?
We're good. I haven't seen you out on the course for a while. What's going on?
I know. Where are you guys is what I'm wondering. We were out there Labor Day, Saturday, Monday. Where were you?
Working.
No, I was out. I actually played. I didn't play Labor Day, but I played. You know what? I think I did. No, I played Friday. I played Friday afternoon when it was 100 out there. But,
yeah, it's hot.
But Dave won't come out. He says it's too hot.
I'm not doing that.
Come on, Dave.
Come on.
He says it's
Hey.
too hot.
My game needs all the help
play
it can
tomorrow,
get.
and he says it's too hot.
Excessive heat does not work. Worked for the football
Hey,
team
just
back in Tampa.
Look at the calendar. Next week it's cold. Get out there. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll be out there.
You never know in Utah.
So, Carrie, I was feeling myself. Last time I played with Dave, we played with Dan Forsman, and I played okay. Like, I think I shot 38 on the front. Dan shot 36, and I'm thinking, you know what? Like, Dan's like, he's won on the tour. Like, I'm hanging in there.
You were in the zone.
I was in the zone. And then Dan goes out and shoots 32 on the back nine and, like, lipped out 3 other putts and could have shot 29 or 30. I'm like, okay, that's a whole different.
And you were out of the zone.
That's a whole different world than me.
Hey, look, if you ever run for president, I want you to know Dan Forsman's going to vote for you.
Oh, yeah, he loves you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
So just something to keep in mind. You got at least one vote, and then we'll vote for you.
He thinks you're amazing.
But great golfer and coach. And I called him. I said, hey, we're gonna interview Coach Roberts, and nothing but good things to say about you. Now, look,
nice.
you've made some big decisions in your life. You married Corey, which is a good one. You got three kids, and 3 more good choices there. But how about the decision to pursue basketball or golf, since you were such a star at Wasatch High School up in Heber? What was the difference
Now we're getting
maker?
into it. You know what? To be honest, it's funny because I was just talking to Amber, Whiting about this, of telling her back in the day in high school, I loved basketball more than golf. Like, it was just like this release for me, and I could just play. And I love basketball my whole soul. Like, high school basketball coaching, I told Amber, I was like, call me up anytime. I'll do anything for you. But obviously I'm better at golf, and golf is longevity.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I could see myself having a very long career in golf. Obviously it wasn't playing, but I am here now, and, I saw longevity in golf, and obviously golf was in my blood. It was kind of I almost played both sports. Did you know that at BYU? I talked to Trent. Yeah. And then I talked to Judkins when I got here, and Juddy's like, oh, I would have totally I don't know if I would have been good enough, but he said I could have come on and, at least walked on or something. I don't know how that would have worked. There's no way, but there was some discussion. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. We just had Amber on last week, and she was great. She was awesome. We loved having her.
I love her.
How close are the coaches across the board at BYU? Do you guys interact a bunch with one another, and is there a kinship and a bond there?
Yeah, the women for sure. And we get together at least once a semester. We're always texting. There's a nice unity amongst the women coaches. and we've kind of formed this kind of support group, and we talk, hash it out. It's really cool. And on the men's side, I mean, obviously when I see him, very friendly. Kalani's probably the nicest human alive. I tell everybody to root for him. I mean, he knew who I was before we even met, and I know that he knew everybody, and he's like, hey, any help we can give you. Kalani's the nicest dude ever. I mean, I talked to him for an hour, and so the men's coaches are great. I mean, I see our baseball coach out at the Fox, our practice facility,
Right, Trent
so
Pratt.
it's a close group, and I think Tom does a good job of unifying the coaches and making it just friendly and supportive. But the women's coaches are very supportive of each other. We talk a lot.
That's great.
Our live streamers are chiming in a lot tonight. There's a lot going on now that football season is here. Golf season starts here real quick for you. One question, BYU Sports Addict says, Carrie, in the 10 years or so that you've been coaching BYU, what's the biggest change you've seen in women's golf, in the women's golf program during those years?
More competitive in our program specifically, or just in general?
In yours, it looks like. In BYU's program.
In BYU?
Yeah.
Definitely more competitive. We're deeper, better tournaments, more things happening. I think we're a little bit more relevant. When I started, it was a rough go. I think some of my first years, we were last in conference, and then, turned it around and won conference. Now we're, always competing at conference, and that's kind of a cool thing of, we're always right there. And so people are kind of scared of us a little bit, California teams don't like us coming. They hate it when these, this winter school comes and beats them. And so it's a little bit, it's nice. I think it's a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little swagger going down there. So
does.
You played, when you were playing, that was 98 to 2002. So here we are in 20,000, it's 2022. How different are the athletes in the game today than back when you were playing? Has there been a big change?
Huge. 75, 300 used to be a good team score. 75 used to be a really good average. Now you want to drop a 75, 70, 71, 72 is the averages you got to have. It's unreal how good these girls are, and they're getting younger. It's unreal how good. I mean, you guys know, you see them, and
yeah, we watch them play.
They just keep
there with you.
Yeah, and they're just unreal. And I mean, they're younger and they're better, they're more competitive. It's insane how good these girls are now. It's just gotten so much better.
Do you ever remind Mary, Charles, and Lincoln, your kids, that their mom's a Hall of Famer? Does that come up like on Monday night activities?
My husband throws it in. I never do. What's funny about that is not for the Hall of Fame, but so I was MVP in basketball, high school, way back in the day. And so I let up on Hank or Charles. Charles likes to play basketball. And, I let up on defense, and he looked at me and he said, an MVP wouldn't let up like that, Mom.
That's great.
I thought that was good. Yeah, but no, I don't have to mention it. And no, I'm Mom.
Well, someday they will appreciate
they
it
will.
because
yes,
not everyone gets to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, at first I was like, whatever, not a big deal. And then as they got going and stuff, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. This is, pretty cool.
Hey, another one of our viewers, Bluesville 1, says, hey, any changes in spectator size over the years? The people that come out and support the women's golf, and he's asking, or she's asking, what can they do, or what can we do to help get the word out and get more spectators out there supporting?
Hey, that's awesome. A lot of parents come out. We actually went to Vanderbilt for regionals and had several people come out. It was awesome. And that's something I've never seen before is having non-family come out and watch. Mike O'Connor, I don't know if you guys know Mike O'Connor and his wife Kathy. They've traveled with us several events. So those are things that are definitely new, where you have people that aren't parents coming and watching. And I'd say get the word. You know, what we need to do is probably put our schedule out on social media and just put it out there, you know. And if you're in that city, please come watch. Even if you don't know, you know, what you're doing, ask us. You know, it's pretty chill, and we'll tell you how to do it, and just follow our schedule. If you live there, come and blast all over social media, like our posts. That's pretty cool. I like that.
So if you're a BYU Cougar fan and this golf team is, you see on social media the golf team's coming close to you, go out and support them like you do the football team. So, Corey Yoshimura, do you know Carrie at all? Corey Yoshimura?
No.
He's a BYU grad that I just say he runs the Asian PGA. He actually does run the Asian PGA. Like I'm telling you, Hideki can't make a move. Like it's
He's
funny.
Matsuyama's guy.
Yeah. So when Corey I was at the Masters this year with Corey, and
very cool.
I said, "What's your relationship like with Hideki?" And he goes, "Well, it's a love-hate because every time I talk to him, I'm needing him to go do something. Like I have to ask him to go do something." So
yeah.
But so he's close. He manages all the athletes for the PGA that are over in Japan. He's asking this question. He says, "What are you doing to prepare, and how will this BYU team compete as you move into the Big 12? Is this a big change for this program, and can this women's golf team be competitive right away?"
Yeah. So the Big 12 in golf, it's literally just one conference championship. That's it. It's one tournament. And I do think we'll be competitive. It's tough. Like Oklahoma State's ranked number 2. Baylor's always top 10. But at some point in my, you know, like last year, we beat every Big 12 team. So, you know, it all just that we saw, we didn't see everybody. So what we're doing to prepare, I mean, we're just getting fired up, trying to get as good talent as possible. And I think we'll be competitive. You know, it's going to be tough, but it's something we look forward to. And, you know, when you kind of have that little underdog spirit, you know, we're going to be great. Like, I think we're going to come out firing, and somehow we find a way to always compete at conference. And, you know, it's just something that we want. And, you know, I'm excited about it, you know, so it's just one conference tournament and we play, and who knows, you know, golf, we'll find a way.
BYU women's golf coach Carrie Roberts on the Wise Guys just ahead of the season opening tournament. We'll talk about your team in just a sec. First, your dad, Bruce, tour player, 7 professional victories. Did you know while growing up that your dad had a cool but very difficult job?
I didn't know it was difficult, but I knew it was cool. So he made the Champions Tour when I was 14. And so I knew exactly what was going on. I started caddying for him right away.
Yeah.
And my dad's always been my hero. He's just, because, you know, he was awesome at golf, and he's always been amazing at golf. And I didn't realize how cool and then when he retired, I realized how awesome it was. But that was a good time for my dad to travel. And I mean, we were always with him. He always had the family with him. He always had the family caddying with him. I mean, I've traveled the entire country and world because of him, and the things me and my mom have gotten to do together, because I was the youngest, right? I'm the youngest. And so I got to go everywhere and do everything with them. And me and Corey, my husband, you know, in between when I stopped playing and he went to law school and I was pregnant with Mary, we traveled with them for a full year. And it was probably one of the better, more fun years of our life, you know, just traveling and hanging out with mom and dad and caddying, doing odd jobs, and we'd caddy for other people. And you have 7, you're one of 7. So you all caddy for your dad. Did you ever have family fights over you should use a wedge or a 7-iron, or what were you doing, giving him that club? Yeah. Well, I mean, there was one time, I don't know if you guys remember, up at Park Meadows, he went OB and I was kind of up there and he lost by 1. And I heard it from my brothers. Like, why did I not jump in front of that, you know? And I'm like, I didn't know, you know, I would have. So, yeah.
You and your extended family, it's one of the great golf families anywhere, right? And so between you and the whole extended family, there's some phenomenal players. Who's the most talented? Like your dad probably has the most to show for it in terms of, but who's the most talented golfer in that family?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously Daniel had a good career.
Mm-hmm.
You know, PGA Tour, he would be hard to argue against. Maybe I'm up there. I don't know. Did
I'll put you up
something
there.
Boyd-
I'm voting for you. We're both voting for
And
you.
Boyd's doing a great job coaching as a personal coach, right?
Well, and he was number one amateur. I don't know if you guys knew
Yeah,
that.
that's
I mean,
right.
He was, a number one amateur. And then honestly, I will tell you, the hidden gem in our family is Bruce Jr. That guy is amazing. He's an amazing athlete. He could pick up a basketball right now and go make 6 threes in a game. Or you could give him a lob wedge, he'll hit a flop shot. I caddied for him at He's Open. And he was doing things that I was just like, how are you doing that? Like he's unreal, but just never, took it and went with it. And I mean, we actually did a Bruce Summerhays kids and nephew, and 14 under won.
Oh, wow.
14 under won the scramble tournament. And I'm talking siblings, nieces, nephews. That's it.
That's phenomenal.
Yep.
Hey, and by the way,
and
Danny.
2 people shot 14.
Oh, my gosh. You mentioned
2
Danny
teams.
and Danny. So I raised my family up in Davis County. So Boyd and Danny and those guys, I played with them when they were kids. And Danny grew up with my kids. And like you, Carrie, he played on the high school basketball team. You look at Danny and you don't think that. But an unbelievable scrapper out on the basketball floor, and then he goes and plays on the PGA Tour, and so I'm telling you, this family,
it's the first family of golf.
It's a first family of golf, but they're just athletes. This whole family is a family of athletes, which is really cool.
And we don't have any problem with you telling the rest of your family that we think you're the best golfer in the family.
I'll tell Danny that to his face.
We've gone on record.
So
I appreciate that.
Play begins on Monday for BYU at the USF Intercollegiate in San Francisco. Let's talk about your roster. And when you go recruiting, do you try to find the most difficult last names for the announcers too? Because you've got a long list of them, and including your best player, Anik.
Yeah, I need Hutchkovich.
Hutchkovich.
I just call her Anik. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. That works too.
What kind of year do you expect out of her and the rest of your group? Now, a golf roster, I think it's 6 or 7 players. That's it, right?
So we have total of 8. We travel with 5.
So you got to get it right when you're offering a kid the opportunity to come play. And you certainly have gotten it right these last handful of years. What about this particular group?
Well, we get everybody back, which is nice. And we had a couple of freshmen, Sunbin from, Timpview and Berlin Long. And it's one of our more competitive groups amongst each other. And obviously we just hope to, be better than last year and win a bunch and make some noise at nationals. And I'm excited. I think we're going to be good, but we got to do it when it matters. So.
You got 3 seniors along with Anik. You got Alicia, May, Mateo, and Kirsten Fotu. Is that right?
Yeah. So Alicia and Anik are the COVID. Kirsten will have another semester, hopefully another year. She started midway. But yeah, I mean, Alicia, was player of the year a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anik was almost player of the year last year. Alicia was in that mix. Kirsten was leading 2 tournaments, and then we got Leela Naliai, Apalila Naliai. She's as competitive as she won, last year as a sophomore, and so I'm excited. Adeline's a sophomore, and she played in every tournament as a freshman. Was key in our wins for us. So we've got some good pieces. We've got some really good pieces. So we just, are licking our chops, getting excited to go, and we'll see. I think it's going to honestly be a year of switching in and out people.
Yeah.
Trying to find the best, 5th, 4 or 5 player. I think, and that's what's cool about it is go play for it, right?
Can these youngins, they come in? Berlin Long, I've watched grow up and know her family. With a team that's this deep and this veteran, can those youngins come in and contribute right away?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be tough, but I think they can do it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if one or both are in. It's that kind of year,
We got 5 questions for you in rapid fire. Before we get there, let me ask you this. This is a
hypothetical. This is a hypothetical.
Hypothetical. If you were kidnapped And the only way to get free was if Blaine and I beat Tony Finau in a one-hole playoff at Riverside with Finau wearing a blindfold. Would you feel good about your future?
That's hilarious. Boys, I got you. You got me. You can do that. Come on.
Hey, if Carrie's
I'm not sure we
life
can.
is on the line, I will play Tony straight up from the tips, and I will save Carrie
go.
because I'm better
we
when
go.
something important is on the line. I will get Carrie safe, and I will take Tony on. Let
Carrie,
it be
that
said.
first of all, you wouldn't be freed if Blaine was taking Finau. And Tony's been awesome. We see him over there all the time. How great of an
Yeah.
ambassador, even for BYU golf and for the state of Utah.
Incredible. You know, it's kind of like my dad. They didn't believe he was who he was, right?
Yeah.
He can't be that nice and that good. And Tony's amazing. He's amazing. Most down-to-earth guy. And, I mean, he's influenced, you know, several of my players. I've had lots of Polynesians and you know, they started because of Tony Finau. So he's a stud.
Yeah, I just saw it was at Golf Digest that named him the most well-liked player on the tour again this year. Everybody's when we followed him around with his dad Klepe at the Masters, everybody just rallies around him. They want to be around him. It's just fun to see him interact with his peers and how much they love him and how much they love his family. Like the guys, we were there and Rory comes under the ropes and gives Klepe a hug and says, "Hey, Pops," and calls him Pops. Tony and his family are so respected for what they stand for on the tour. It was really fun to see firsthand. Really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, 5 questions for the Hall of Fame coach, Carrie Roberts.
You love to use that, don't you?
I think it's so cool. We're just gonna
keep saying
no
it.
one uses it when they
wear that
introduce
up.
us, and so that would be cool. So we're gonna use
Hey,
it.
and by the way, before we do that, Bluesville that asked you the question said, "Okay, I've been supporting men's and women's cross country. Now that Carrie gave me the mechanism, I will start coming out. If golf teams around, I'm going to go and start watching them. So you got a new fan.
Where does he live?
Where do you live? Where do you live, Bluesville one? You got to send us a message real quick.
Bluesville. Let us know, Bluesville.
So-
We're coming.
All right, so here we go on the quick 5 questions. Favorite sports movie?
Oh, Rudy.
Rudy.
Hey, that's my number 2.
Now, just as Rudy, we met when we were back doing Countdown to Kickoff in South Bend.
at Notre Dame.
And he came on our pregame show back there. A super nice guy. And then it was after that that he joined the church. And
Wait, are you saying this because you and I met him?
we met him during that weekend. It was a very big.
Dropping that name.
But he was good. He was on our show, and then we've seen him, of course, since then. And that was a turning point.
He's great.
That time was a big turning point in his life.
Inspirational, man. Inspirational. I always was little too, so I loved it.
When it was really cool when we talked to him on our show. We were standing down in front of the student section. He kind of came out of the tunnel and walked over, and they recognized him, and they started going, "Rudy, Rudy," and I was like,
That's so cool.
It gave me the chills because I had watched the movie, and
See,
this was the
I
real
got chills
Rudy.
just for you saying that.
It was really cool.
I had the chills because it was 10 below zero.
Yeah, it was cold.
That was
and
the
snowy
coldest
that day.
pregame show of our
but
life.
the fact that the fans still recognized and understood
Yeah,
the history
that's cool.
was really cool. And Rudy's it's based on true story. He's a real
great.
person. It was really cool. And by the way, a member of the church now.
Now
So
he
really
likes
cool.
BYU. Favorite singer or band?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Imagine Dragons back in the day. Our whole family went to the concert. Everybody knew every word to every song. Funnest ever was their album. Geez, I don't know. I listened to a lot of what's the you got me stumped.
No, Imagine Dragons is good.
Go with that. That's good.
So
I'll say Imagine Dragons.
And,
Yeah.
and, and,
I
you're,
like
stick, you're
Imagine
sticking
Dragons.
with the BYU theme. Dan Reynolds is a BYU guy, and when
We saw him in Vegas.
down in Arizona, we stood with Dan on the sidelines at the Arizona BYU game in Allegiant Field, and we talked football and with he and Danny Ainge for the whole game. It was really fun. Now he's a good supporter of BYU. Dan is so I'd say Imagine Dragons is a good one.
Hey, by the way, Bluesville.
Well, my family knows the words. It's fun.
Yep.
Bluesville one's from New Mexico.
Ooh, we won there last year in Albuquerque. We're not going back. Tell them we're sorry, but we'll come back hopefully next fall.
Buy
Next
some
fall.
plane tickets, Bluesville one.
Come on up
They're not
and
going
the
to.
tournament here at home. We're gonna hook you up. So
Okay,
Yes,
favorite breakfast cereal.
Oh man, I love Lucky Charms.
Yes.
I love cereal. How can you go wrong with any
You
cereal?
can't.
Probably Lucky Charms.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
do you
love
no
ever?
shame
So
in that.
Carrie, do you ever with the Lucky Charms? Do you ever eat all of the oats first and just leave a couple
No.
of big bites of marshmallows for the end?
No, you've got to mix it. It's got to be the ratio has to be correct. Marshmallow to
I don't
normal
understand.
cereal.
See, it's attention. Like some people call it OCD. I call it ATD, which is attention to detail.
Yes.
Which I'm stealing that because that came from Coach Schott at Stanford when my son-in-law was playing there. He told him, I want a bunch of guys with ATD. And they're like, what's ATD?
Yeah.
Some people would call it OCD. I call it attention to detail disorder. So,
I don't know why they can't put more marshmallows than oats, and not think that wouldn't be well
Yeah.
received by.
Hey,
all
Mike,
of us.
Mike
Well,
just
if you do it right, the ratio is correct. So
The-
just pay attention
right,
next time to your
right on.
details.
So Mike, just me, one of our followers is asking, will you be in Texas this year?
No.
Dang,
We
not-
don't go to Texas this year.
Sorry,
Not in Texas this year either. Okay.
All right, let's continue on. Number 4, favorite golf course to play. Of all the
Ooh,
golf
boy.
course in the world, including those on
Wow.
the LPGA tour that you've played on, what's the favorite?
Yeah, I don't have a favorite, but I did get to play you know what? If I had to choose a local course, see, because I don't know, like Pebble was amazing. Pebble blew my mind.
Pretty awesome. Just played that.
Seemed like that would
last
be
year.
good.
See, and people don't like that layout, but I'm like, I love it. How do you not? I mean, how do you complain about Pebble? I
No,
couldn't
it's-
believe how small the greens.
My only complaint
You know,
about Pebble is
we're
it's just too slow. Like it's like a 6-hour round. Like I want to play Pebble when nobody's
Yeah.
out there and I can play it in 4 hours or less. So
I actually got to play it early. We were the first time out, and so we just got to go, and
Oh,
it was
that would be a dream.
heaven on earth, you know. And it was heaven on earth.
So
I got
is
to play
that
with Alicia when we were down there for regionals,
Yeah.
and it's a highlight for sure.
So Pebble
Yeah,
Beach maybe?
Pebble's-
Pebble maybe?
Yeah, I would say Pebble. Yeah, go
Cool.
play Pebble.
Okay.
All right, number 5.
Biggest putt you've ever made?
It was about a 2-foot putt to get my LPGA card.
Oh man,
Were you
that's
nervous?
pressure. That's pressure.
Yeah, I was very nervous. I was very, very nervous, and I didn't know what it was for, but I knew it was important. My mom had this look on her face, and I knew I was right close. And I mean, I was the whole last hole. I could feel my heart. I was shaking. I was like, I don't even know how to do this. Somehow I willed it in for par, and that's got to be my biggest putt. The biggest putt coaching was Leah Garner, my assistant coach, to send us to nationals. That's my biggest putt coaching. That's bigger than my putt for whatever. It was awesome.
That's cool. What do you tell these women that you're coaching when they're standing over a putt that means a lot? How do you coach them up to just block that out and stroke it the way they've practiced?
I try to just keep it as, same routine, same normal, speed in line, just put a good stroke, trust your cues, trust your execution. You know what I mean? Just do it. Let's see.
So
it,
you can't really think about what it means. You just got to stay with your mechanics then.
Yeah, even though you know what it means, you can't. And it has to be all process. You have to own the process. We're hitting that hard. My dad's actually helping us out, and that's something we're hitting big time, is just that process of it. Yeah.
I like that. Own the process. Don't let the moment be too
own the
big.
process.
So Jaron Hall on Saturday night,
He's got to own the
he's
process.
got to own the process against Baylor and not let the moment
to.
be too big. That's what he's got to do.
Has to.
It carries
Hey.
over into any sport. I love it.
You know what, Blaine? You know what my favorite movie is, though, all time?
What?
And guess what my favorite Broadway show is?
What?
Moulin Rouge.
Come
I just
on.
learned that you're.
Let's
Come on.
go. You gonna
Yes,
come?
please.
You want to come with me up to
I-
Salt Lake when they come through?
Please. I'm telling you, I'm the biggest Moulin Rouge fan in the history.
Okay, I
me
didn't
and
know
my
that.
husband took my daughter this summer, and I couldn't believe it.
So where did you guys
Love
go
it.
see it? Did you see it in New York?
We did. Yeah.
Okay, well this touring cast is all like principals from New York, and they're amazing. And I'm gonna figure out how to get you up when they come to this Eccles in Salt Lake City,
Okay.
because Libby would love to have you
I'd love to.
come watch her. They just left the Pantages Theater in Hollywood after 2.5 months. They're on their way up to the Orpheum in San Francisco for the next 2 months. But they're gonna make their way to
Wait, are they there this weekend? We go to San Francisco.
They're there this weekend.
There you go.
Blaine, we're gonna talk.
Okay, I'll talk to you later about
I'll
it.
get your cell number.
We'll figure it out.
We'll talk later.
Okay.
The Hall of Fame coach, Carrie Roberts, good luck next week in San Francisco. Thanks
you guys.
for coming on our show.
The best. Look forward to seeing you guys at the course. You guys are awesome.
Thanks,
all right,
Carrie.
thank you.
Great to having you on.
It's nice to have friends in golf like Carrie.
We love Carrie. She's great, and that team, I'll tell you what, she's done an amazing job. BYU women's golf is really good, and I expect this team, as they move into the Big 12, to be a team that competes for Big 12 championships and qualifies for nationals, and who knows, with the right, you have to catch lightning in a bottle, but is a national championship in the works for that team? That's not out of the question.
Sometimes she'll shout at me on the course, "Hey, why don't you open your eyes when you swing?" Very helpful.
No, she'll say
stuff.
She'll say, "Dave, are you playing that slice? Are you aiming over there?
What
for
is
a
wrong
reason?"
with you? Just go in and get a sandwich. How about that? So Carrie Roberts,
Pretty
Dave
awesome.
Almodova, Will Snowden, Bryan Kehl. Great show tonight. Let's go over our headlines. We've got a lot to cover, and we've got some time to do it. Again, BYU Sports Nation Game Day, Saturday night from 6 to 8 Mountain Time, live from Lavelle Edwards Stadium on BYU TV. We'll sit down with Ty Detmer, Lapini Katoa, Major Clark Heyman's going to join the show, Chip Gaines out of Waco, Texas, going to join the show. The new commissioner of the Big 12 will join the show, all leading up to BYU and Baylor at 8:15 Eastern, 8:15 local, 10:15 Eastern on ESPN. The flyovers at 8:05, live BYU TV postgame show. Saturday night's going to be off the charts. The charts.
I mean, I can't. The weather is supposed to be great for Saturday night at BYU and Baylor. Mid-70s at kickoff. The overnight low is supposed to be 53. So we're going to be in the 60s a lot of that game. Isn't that what football is made to be played with temperatures in the 60s?
It absolutely is.
Yeah, BYU's a 2.5-point favorite coming into this game. Bryan Kehl mentioned that when he was on. He says they're going to cover. He picked them by 4. I got them by 10.
Yeah, I got them by 3.
You've got them by 3, so you say they're going to cover.
Stuck with the Vegas guys.
Their uniforms, they're going to wear the royal blue tops and bottoms with royal blue lightning helmets.
It's going to be nice.
With
glistening off the lights.
So with nickel face masks. So like chrome nickel colored face masks. They've never worn that combination before. So
it sounds
Royal
delightful.
blue lightning helmets with nickel face masks, right?
If you got any questions about the games, this is the time to ask.
Yep.
As we preview Baylor, we've kind of done that, and we do want to get to a couple of issues. Big 12 television, they announced that they're going to reopen or open their discussions early with Fox and ESPN to get a new TV deal before the Pac-12 gets their TV deal. What is that? Why are they doing that? What does that mean for BYU?
So it's awesome because they're not going to wait until the current deal expires in 2024 to negotiate. So BYU joins this next summer, and if they get this deal in place, then it kind of upstages the Pac-12 again, and it gives them stability and a long-term future. And you know what? Maybe it even does. And I don't know because I do think this expansion of the college football playoff maybe solidifies the Pac-12 a little bit because now they're not worried they're going to be left out. But it could give the Big 12 some leverage if the dollars don't pan out for the Big 12 to maybe go still add a few teams and maybe get it up to the Big 16, as we like to call it. So anyhow, it's I think it's a big deal.
BYU women's volleyball, they're number 10 this week. They lost their first match of the year against a really good Pitt team who's in the top 10. 2 games this week at the Georgia Tech Classic in Atlanta. You folks back in the South, chance to go cheer on the Cougs. They'll face the Yellow Jackets on Thursday and Ohio State on Friday. Their next game at the Smith Fieldhouse is September 17th against Utah Valley.
Yeah, great program, and as they get their wheels going here, a team that can compete for a national title. They can every year. Oh, yeah. Women's soccer, another program that can compete for national titles every year. Number 13, BYU hosts Arkansas on Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain on BYU TV, and Utah Valley on Saturday at 6 p.m. Mountain on BYU TV.
National rankings, the preseason U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association polls are out. The BYU men's cross country team's number 4. The women's team is number 7. Both teams in action on Friday at the Run Elite Invitational in Taylorsville, Utah. What this means is BYU has 5 teams in the top 25 to start the fall semester: football, soccer, women's volleyball, and men's and women's cross country. Cross country head coach Ed Eyestone's going to join the Wise Guys in 2 weeks. That's never happened before. 5 teams in the preseason top 25.
It's pretty amazing, and what a job Ed Eyestone's done. Well, all of this coaching staff on the men's and women's side with track and field and cross country. Ed's an old neighbor of mine for years when he was at Weber State coaching.
Was he always out running every morning?
Oh, he used to make me so mad.
Doesn't even use a car, just
No,
runs.
because I would leave my house and I'd be about a half a block out, and he'd come bounding up the hill like a gazelle, and then he would always say the same thing. Man, you look like you've been running for a long time. How far have you gone? And I would say, Ed, you know I just left the house. And then I'd say, how far have you gone? And he'd say, well, I ran here. I'm like, that's like 13 miles, right? Yep.
He's got a mustache now. You won't even recognize
Then he would
him.
take off and say, yeah, keep working, Blaine. So, but what a phenomenal
That'll be
job
our
they've done.
first Olympian on the show.
Yeah. So, hey, how about BYU Utah State news? The Cougars won't be playing the Aggies after this season in football due to the Big 12 football schedule. It looks like they won't be playing in basketball this year or anytime soon.
And that's
either.
too bad.
Yeah, which I hate. Disagreements over scheduling is going to keep them apart for the indefinite future. I mean, you know, BYU's going into the toughest basketball conference in basketball, in college basketball. So it's understandable. But I have loved that Utah State BYU rivalry, especially in basketball. You and I have done a lot of BYU Utah State games live, and it's always got a great feel to it and great competitive teams. So
I think it's safe to assume BYU's not going to the Spectrum again.
no, that's not going to happen.
I mean, for a long time, not as they get to the Big 12. This kind of slipped under the radar due to all the things going on around college sports. The Division I Board of Directors approved changes to the transfer rules, but they voted against allowing student athletes to transfer as many times as they want without having to sit out. The one-time transfer rule stays in place where kids can go and play right away. The board also voted on a transfer window for student athletes to announce their intentions. So now they can't just announce any time. For fall sports, they got 45 days after the championship. Winter sports have 60 days, and spring sports have 45 days. So it gives coaches, hey, I know if you don't go in the next 45 days, I can plan on you. And if you're announcing your intentions, okay, that gives me some time to go find some replacements.
Well, the fact that they didn't vote through the unlimited transfer is huge. That gives some stability. I think the one-time transfer is fair. And they should be able to, if they're not happy where they're at, they should be able to leave. But it would be so unbelievably disruptive to allow unlimited transfers no matter what year. And so I'm very glad that they made that ruling.
All right, let's do BYU's number 21 in the new poll.
Mm-hmm.
Let's run down the list of their opponents and how everybody fared. Then we're going to pick some games.
Yep.
And East Carolina. You forget East Carolina.
We got a few questions going too, so we'll make sure we get to those. People were asking. Somebody was Bluesville's asking about defense. With the defense in a 3-man front, is that a disadvantage? They don't play 3-man front against Baylor. In fact, they don't play a 3-man front. They play a 3-man front when they're playing against spread teams. Baylor's a 12 personnel program, and people think they played a ton of 3-man front and played a bunch of drop 8. It was actually less than and people actually think. Media talked about it all the time, and I think gave you a little bit of a false sense of how many times they played a 3-man drop 8. But you play that when you're playing against teams like Central Florida or South Florida that run the spread and throw it around. Against Baylor, they run 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. They run it downhill. They're a run-based football team. BYU will be almost exclusively in a 4-man front, and they'll play a lot more people in that front 7 or front 8 and be way more aggressive than they were against a team that runs the spread.
Robbie writes in, he went to the game with Baylor and Albany, said what impressed him was the speed the Bears have, and the size is well below BYU's line for sure. So speed and size will be factors.
Yep.
And BYU's O-line is as big as anybody.
Yeah, and Baylor always has great team speed overall, but BYU has as much speed as they've ever had. Like, teams across the country don't have faster corners than BYU has now. BYU's corners are as fast as any in the country, and I don't think anybody has a better wide receiver than Puka Nacua if he's healthy this week. Yeah. Speed's not as much a issue as it used to be for BYU in the old days. They've kind of closed the gap in that area, and you're right, Robbie. BYU's offensive line's as big as anybody in the country or bigger.
We
So,
expect Puka to play on Saturday.
yeah, we expect him to play.
And that'll be a big boost. And we are hopeful to see Gunnar Romney on Saturday.
So you didn't see Puka today, though, did you?
No.
So, no, I haven't seen him today either. So we'll look out for him.
But the word is, until he's out, he's in.
And I would never doubt Puka. Yeah. So okay, we answered those. Now we want to get to the BYU opponents last week.
So East Carolina's coming in later in October on a Friday night, and they took 13th-ranked North Carolina State to the wire. The Wolfpack won it by 21-20. I think East Carolina missed a field goal or something
Yeah,
at the
East
end.
Carolina,
They had a shot.
They always have good athletes, and BYU's, that's going to be a good matchup. They come here, though.
Yeah.
And so that's a whole different story than playing them at sea level on the East Coast. So how about number 11, Oregon, who has now dropped out of the rankings, just got routed by Georgia 49-3.
That surprised me. Not that they lost, but that they got killed.
I expected them to lose, but I expected them to compete. They didn't even compete. If I was Oregon, if I was a player, I'd be embarrassed with the showing. And maybe there's some talent and they can rally, but that was very telling. And
BYU gets them in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but it's still a very formidable game up there. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Arkansas is going to be here on October 15th. They're ranked number 19, or at least they were going into the weekend, and they beat Cincinnati, who was number 23, 31-24, and that was a pretty good game.
They
Razorbacks are tough.
They look good. They're big, physical, and a lot of speed. They look like a very good SEC team. That's a big one. So Wyoming, in double overtime, took care of Tulsa 40-37. So Wyoming looks like they got one of those. I don't know if I'm going to call it a Josh Allen offense like they had when Josh was playing.
Minus Josh.
They have a great offense minus Josh Allen. So
Baylor, as mentioned, beat Albany 69-10. Liberty beat Southern Miss 29-27 in 4 overtimes, but the Flames lose Charlie Brewer to a broken hand. Yeah. Their quarterback, who transferred from Utah after BYU beat Brewer last September.
Crazy. And Liberty is a team that throws it around, runs the West Coast offense a lot like BYU. Utah State went and played number 1 Alabama and lost 55-0. Again, I expected Utah State to be a little more competitive than that.
I thought they'd be better against UConn, and yeah. I'm feeling much better about BYU's date with the Aggies conference weekend.
And Notre Dame at number 5, they hung tough. They were ahead of Ohio State for part of that game, and I thought that game was a really, really good matchup. So number 2 Ohio State, 21, number 5 Notre Dame 10. But Notre Dame's very good.
Stanford beat Colgate, the toothpaste, 41-10.
Stanford plays Utah in a couple weeks. I'll be interested to see how that.
And they got USC this weekend.
Do they play Stanford? Yeah, Stanford plays USC. We're going to see if USC's as good as they looked against Rice, because I think Stanford's pretty solid this year. Oregon State and Boise State. So BYU's got Boise State on the schedule later this season. Oregon State, who returned a bunch of guys from a very good team that BYU saw last year, beats Boise State 34-17.
Boise didn't look good, down 24-0 at half.
No. So
Utah Tech got beat by Sacramento State 56-33. We'll see Utah Tech. That will be the final home game of BYU's independence era. Live on BYU TV. All right, before we pick some games, let's talk about Cougars in the NFL, because the NFL season starts Thursday. That is finally here.
Oh, can't wait for that to happen. So, and it also takes, I hate college football games on Sundays.
Right.
I don't like it. And so once the NFL starts playing, they own Sunday and Monday night, and we don't have that nonsense anymore. No. Right. So let's start with Saints at the Falcons, Taysom Hill and Danny Sorensen versus Tyler Algier. How about that?
That's intriguing. Yeah. How much is Tyler going to play? Taysom will be at tight end.
Hey, I for the first time in my life, I'm doing fantasy football with my family.
Oh, yeah.
I drafted Tyler Algier.
Did you? Just
for fun.
Just felt like it?
Yep.
Who was your number 1 pick? Who'd you take first?
I took, gosh, I can't remember who I took with my number 1 pick.
I took Cooper Kupp.
Oh, did you have the overall number 1 pick?
No, I had the number 2 overall.
Who took somebody over Cooper Kupp?
Courtney took the running back for the Colts. Oh. He was ranked number 1.
Cooper Kupp is.
I hope so. I mean, he's going to be in action.
I can't remember who
Thursday night.
I can't remember who I took.
So you're really impressed by?
Oh no. I'm trying to think. I have Chubb as one of my running backs.
I got Chubb.
You have Chubb as one of your running backs? Okay,
the Browns, they're so bad. They got Chubb.
They have Chubb.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember who.
All right, we'll come back to that. Think about that. 49ers are at the Bears. That's Fred Warner. Kyrus Tonga was cut last Wednesday and then added to the practice squad of the Falcons.
Right. So he's down there with Tyler.
Eagles at the Lions. That's Jamal Williams.
Yep. Ravens and Jets.
Hey, they're talking maybe Zach will play.
Yeah, they were saying he was moving around and throwing the ball this week. So maybe Zach Wilson plays when the Ravens come in to play the Jets.
Jaguars are at the Commanders. These are all Sunday morning games. Dax Milne.
Right. And then the Browns at the Panthers. That's Sione Takitaki versus Brady Christensen.
Brady might have to block him.
Two starters. Yeah. Two starters right there in that
They can say hi to each other as they collide. The afternoon game is the Raiders at the Chargers. That's Kyle Van Noy and Michael Davis for the Chargers.
Yeah, we should note Matt Bushman, who, remember, was having a really good camp and was injured, recovering from the broken clavicle. His father-in-law, Chad Lewis, said the surgery was a success and the road to recover has begun. We wish Bushman the best. After the injuries, the Chiefs put him on the injured reserve.
I talked to Chad today, and he said that Bushman's hoping to be able to play for someone this season.
Yep, that's great. And that they probably just plated that clavicle, and he'll heal up real nice. So practice squad players, Harvey Lange, the Patriots, Zane Anderson with the Chiefs again. He was activated on and off a bunch last year. Tyson Williams with the Colts, and, of course, Kairos Tonga, you just mentioned, picked up by the Falcons, right?
Yeah. All right, some football picks and this day in history, and then we'll say goodnight. Last week, I went 11 for 11.
Yeah.
And you went 9 for 11.
Yeah, we were just picking favorites. So.
West Virginia and Utah are the two that went south on your
completely
suggestion.
Messed
I don't know if I'm going to be perfect all season, but I'm off to a good start. All right, Alabama, Texas on Fox TV on Saturday.
I love Sarkisian, but I'm taking Bama.
I am too, but I think that's going to be closer than people think.
Yep.
Tennessee at Pittsburgh on ABC.
Yeah, I watched Pitt this last week. They're better than I thought. I'll take Pitt.
And you never know what you're getting with Tennessee. Yeah. I'm going Pitt. Washington State at Wisconsin.
Wisconsin at home is hard to beat. I'm going with the Badgers.
Yeah, I am too. Houston, who struggled but got a win, at Texas Tech on FS1. That's interesting.
Yeah, that one's, to me, is a toss-up.
I'm going to go Tech on that.
Okay, I'll go Houston just to be contrarian.
Stanford hosts USC on ABC.
I think
that's going to be a tough one.
I think USC's going to win, but I think Stanford's going to give them a run for their money.
All right. I'm going with USC. Arizona State is at Oklahoma State on ESPN2.
I'm going with the Cowboys.
Yeah, until Arizona State wins a big game on the road.
Yep.
Oregon is at home against Eastern Washington on the Pac-12 network, so no one's going to see it.
No, and remember, Eastern Washington's a really good FCS program that throws the ball around. Oregon is going to win it, but I don't know if they're going to look good or not. We'll see.
Baylor and BYU, we both have already announced our picks.
BYU, yep.
So the only difference we've got going into this weekend is just the one game, right?
Yep.
Texas Tech.
You picked Utah. Wait, did I pick Utah to win at Georgia? Or at
yes, you did.
Florida? No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Why would I do such a thing?
I don't know, but then I said I can't do that. I'm taking Florida.
Well, that's a big mistake. That won't happen again.
This day in history, September 6th. 1620, this is significant.
Yeah.
The Pilgrims sail from Plymouth, England on the Mayflower to settle in North America.
That was kind of important.
Seemed to work out.
1716, the first lighthouse in North America was built and constructed and placed in Boston.
Just think how the Pilgrims would have loved to have had a lighthouse.
That would have been nice.
As they came over. 1916, the first true supermarket opens in Memphis, the Piggly Wiggly.
That was long before the Hinky Dinky was opened up.
That's
the
right.
Piggly Wiggly. Those are both Midwestern chains. 1995, Cal Ripken beats Lou Gehrig's record by playing in 2,131 consecutive games.
I remember that night.
I remember it too.
Big deal on ESPN. Yep. He's the Iron Man. 1997, on this day, the funeral for Princess Diana.
Yeah, and Libby, my daughter, played Princess Diana and Diana the Musical on Broadway.
That's right.
So
that's right.
There you go, 1997. 2012, Senator Barack Obama accepts the Democratic nomination for President of the United States.
On this day in 2012. Birthdays, 1888, Joseph P. Kennedy, the father to John F., Robert F., and Teddy Kennedy.
Yeah, 1888,
was born.
Wow. 1943, Roger Waters was born. Who's Roger Waters? Oh, think Pink Floyd, please.
Floyd. I never understood Pink Floyd, and so I never understood Roger Waters.
Well,
1958, Jeff Foxworthy was born, and the first redneck jokes followed.
You might be a redneck. If you know who Jeff Foxworthy is, you might be a redneck.
Hey, those who passed away on this date.
Yeah, 2007, Luciano Pavarotti, one of the great tenors of all time.
And Burt Reynolds in 2018. Not one of the great tenors of
No,
all time.
but a great actor and a great football player. Didn't he play at Florida?
Florida State.
Oh, Florida State.
Florida
that's
State.
Right. That's
I
right.
remember a picture of Burt Reynolds, Lavelle Edwards, and Bobby Bowden.
Yeah.
when they played.
How about that? So.
All right, we've got a Lavelle Edwards quote, and then we're going to go out with Caleb Chapman's Rise and Shout from a couple of weeks ago. We'll celebrate BYU wins as we end this show with the saxophone Rise and Shout. You got the quote?
Lavelle Edwards said, I can't think of anything I would do differently in my life. It would be nice to undo some of my mistakes I made over the years, but then I wouldn't have grown professionally or personally. So basically what Lavelle, and he tells us this all the time, you know, you learn from your mistakes, and the hard things that we go through are what make us who we are. That's how we learn and grow.
And a lot of us would love to undo mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
But then what would we be on the backside of them besides mistake-free?
That's right. Lavelle, a man for the ages.
Next week, Brandon Ogletree, baseball coach Trent Pratt, Dan Forsman.
Okay, here we go.
And Scott Gearhart, the alumni chair over in Eugene.
He's going to tell us what's going
he's
on
excited
up there.
to come on.
Yep.
Especially after we were live in Tampa. Now we're going to be live over there in the Great Northwest ahead of BYU's trip to take on the Oregon Ducks. We got Caleb Chapman ready. We didn't tell him we were going to do this, so I don't think we have to pay him royalties. I think once you perform on the Wise Guys, we own it.
We can replay the show.
We own it.
So,
all right, Rise and Shout on the saxophone. BYU's 1-0, number 21 in the country, hosting the Baylor Bears, number 9 on Saturday night.
And I got him 34-24, and you got him what?
31-28.
Go Cougs.
There we go. Podcast is out tomorrow. See you next week, everybody. Go Cougs.
Awesome.